The resolution at the forefront calls to amend the 2026 fiscal year budget, which would reallocate over $18 million. The resolution says amending the 2026 fiscal year budget is necessary to fully fund departments. Shelby County Commissioner Shantae Avant spoke with Action News 5 over the weekend, expressing concerns that the previously approved budget did not reflect these funding needs. Shelby County Commissioner Avant did not go into details about which offices needed their budget amended, but we will know more at today's meeting. Today's special meeting begins at 11 a.m. Tomorrow, the new fiscal year starts on July 1st. Reporting, I'm Stephanie Douglas, Action News 5.
Okay, that's Stephanie Douglas reporting for us here on the Digital Desk. Coming up on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, we got plenty of interviews set up for you. We're going to be talking about summer expenses, how to keep it under a budget. Also, we're going to be talking about ways to take a summer vacation with your family, and also keep that with a very budget conscious mind throughout the summer. We're also going to be talking about a big popularity of summer vacations these days have to deal with camping. Now, we're not just talking about tents and sleeping bags. You're talking about everything from tents and sleeping bags all the way up to glamping with cabins and that sort of thing, RVs, that kind of thing. So we're going to be talking with KOA Campgrounds about that. We also are interviewing Collierville Mayor Maureen Frazier. She's going to be telling us about the latest happenings in the town of Collierville, the Shelby County suburb. Also, America's safest and riskiest cities when it comes to driving. And we have various thoughts and ideas and feelings about where perhaps Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas may land on that list, specifically Memphis. So we'll be talking at 10 o'clock about that. But right now, I want to get to this live picture of our High Five camera. Downtown Memphis, just a gorgeous shot there of the skyline and the Mississippi River. You see on the left portion of your screen, and then lower left you see Tom Lee Park on a Monday morning. It is 77 degrees as you get up on this Monday. We're back at 60 seconds on Action News 5's Digital Desk. And something that we have been watching in terms of attractiveness over the past couple of days has been the NBA draft. Yeah, we were wondering how the Grizzlies are going to do, and by all standards, it seems like the Grizzlies did very well. In fact, so many people, not only locally but nationally, really like the first-round pick, Cedric Coward out of Washington State. Let's bring in someone more in the know about all of this. I'm joined now on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by the radio voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, Eric Hasseltine, once again joining us to kind of give us a deep dive on this Grizzlies draft. So we have Cedric Coward. We got two guys last night. Let's see. We have Jahmai Mashack and we have Javon Small, one out of West Virginia, one out of the University of Tennessee. First off, let's talk about Cedric Coward. Eric, what do you think? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, bud?
I'm doing okay. I'm trying to get everything all situated, and
Sure.
you're joining us at the right time because we've talked about it, we've seen the draft, and I just kind of want a little bit more because it feels like, Eric, that so many people are really excited about Cedric Coward, and there's got to be reason behind it. Tell me why.
Well, he's a very good shooter. He plays the passing lanes, and we didn't see a lot of him at Washington State. He battled an injury last year and didn't play a ton of basketball, but at Eastern Washington, he turned some heads. And he's a guy who rose up the boards. Obviously, his workouts, the things he did prior to the draft, made him a very desirable piece for a lot of teams in that middle range. A lot of people thought the Grizzlies would have the opportunity to get him with that 16th pick, but the Grizzlies front office felt like he might be gone and they didn't want to miss him. So when you make a move like that, it says a lot about how badly you felt like you wanted this guy and what you wanted him to do for your organization and bring him into the picture. So, they made the move and moved up in the draft 5 spots. They gave up a future first and a couple of second round picks. And, that's to me, if that's the guy you want and that's the price you have to pay, then you go get him. You don't worry about the 2028 draft at this point. It was a pick you had acquired in the Desmond Bane trade. And this pick you also acquired in the Desmond Bane trade, and you turned it into somebody that, by all accounts, Andrew, he's not Desmond Bane. He's not as physically strong upper body, but he does a lot of similar things. And when Desmond Bane got to the Grizzlies, he wasn't yet the Desmond Bane we knew and loved, and still love as he continues his journey with Orlando. But we didn't know a lot about him. We didn't know anything. He was a good shooter at TCU, and I don't think a lot of people probably knew a lot about Cedric before last Wednesday's draft. But now they do, and a lot of people are very excited about the picks. I thought they did a good job last night. You get a guy in Javon Small who's played a lot of point guard and can help you with the depth at that position. And Jemai Meshack is a guy that, obviously Tennessee fans are going to know. He was a big part of an excellent Volunteers team this year, and a guy that really hangs his hat on the defensive end of the floor. So I think they addressed their needs for wings and point guard in the draft, and there's still some time, obviously, with the free agent period. And I don't know that they're done taking phone calls yet, but I think they got 3 young men that they feel pretty comfortable moving forward with.
Yeah, it seems like, Eric, that they've really gone after their deficiencies, where they needed help. You got a defensive specialist there from the University of Tennessee, Jemai Meshack, and then Javon Small, point guard help. And then Cedric Coward, I'm hearing a couple of names comparing him to Kawhi Leonard. I mean, is that too big? You're hearing that as well. What do you think?
Man, I've heard everything, Andrew. I've heard somebody said Kobe Bryant. Somebody said LeBron James. I'm like, I mean, I want the guy to be great, but let's not put too much pressure on the young man's shoulders. Let him get a day at training camp in before we start throwing this stuff around. But that's the nature of this. You get guys in and people draft elite level college basketball players. They didn't get drafted because they were just okay. These guys are studs. And so you're going to always have that natural urge to compare them to somebody you've already seen. I'm a big believer in let the guys become who they are. And let guys, be the best Cedric Coward he could be, as opposed to, hey, try to be like Kawhi Leonard. Hey, try to be like this guy. I think that's an error a lot of people make, and you got to let him go be him. And, the strengths are great. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. He can play the passing lanes. You can see the defensive prowess, obviously, in the highlight tapes. But I'm also a big believer that highlight tapes are just that. You're not going to put the moments where you struggle or the things that maybe you need to improve upon on a highlight tape. They're not going to talk about that during a draft coverage. So there's some things that people have had questions about. But, obviously, like I said, this guy was moving up the boards quickly, and the Grizzlies felt like he would not be there at their picks, so they made the move to go get him and make sure they got him into the mix, and that says exactly what they thought of the young man and what his capabilities are.
When you watch the NBA draft, how do you watch it? I mean, there's so many of us who are just like casual fans watching, getting all the hype. How do you watch it as the radio voice of the Grizzlies?
I'm looking at the competition in the West. I mean, obviously the East is part of the NBA, but when you see teams like Dallas and San Antonio picking 1 and 2, You're looking at, okay, how much better did they just get? Obviously, Dallas gets much better with Cooper Flag. I'm also listening to everybody talk about what a magical moment it is for every single family there. And it is, but that's part of the coverage and that's the feel good story everybody wants. And then all the analysts are going, oh, now they're instant contenders. I'm thinking about how do the Grizzlies match up with this team now with this young player. So take, for example, San Antonio, who goes and gets Dylan Harper, Ron Harper's son, really good guard. Match him with Stephon Castle, who won Rookie of the Year. What do they do now with their roster? They missed out on the Kevin Durant trade. Now he's going to Houston. So you start thinking about it like that. And I enjoy it. I mean, I actually just kind of sat quietly by myself and watched. I'm down here in Florida for my son who had a baseball tournament down here. So I just kind of excused myself from all the festivities and went to my place and watched it and just kind of relaxed and kind of took it all in. So I think it's a lot of fun to watch these young men live out their dreams, but I also watch to see what teams' mindsets are. I think we talked about the last time we spoke about Zach Edey and the injury. And here's a guy like Derek Queen, who's on the board at 11, and the Grizzlies moved up not to take Derek Queen. They moved up to take Cedric Coward. That says they feel pretty confident to me that Zach Edey's ankle is going to be just fine, that he'll be able to get back into the mix relatively quickly because, by all accounts, Derek Queen has a chance to be a very solid NBA big man, and they let him go, and he went within your division to New Orleans. I look at that pick for New Orleans and say, well, last year you took Yves Missi out of Baylor. He had a very solid rookie season. This year you're taking another center. Does that mean there's some moves to be made down there? How many bigs can you have at the same time? They still have Zion Williamson, the former number 1 overall pick. What does this mean for those three? Are they going to split up the 96 minutes there? So I kind of look at it like that. And then I like seeing the good stories, the stories of guys like Cedric Coward, who started at a small institution, paid his way to college, worked his way up to Eastern Washington, worked his way up to Washington State. The guys who have the stories, the players that started somewhere else ended up going somewhere bigger and making a name for themselves. Stories like Derek White, who's now with the Celtics. Stories like Duncan Robinson, who's been with the Miami Heat, who finished his career at Michigan, but he was in a Division II or Division III school prior to that. Derek White, a Division II player that went to Colorado. Those are the things I like seeing because it rewards young men's hard work. And yeah. I kind of laugh at all the cliche answers and, I'm going to come in and I'm going to work really hard. And I kind of chuckle at that because I want to go, well, young fella, if you don't come in and work very hard, this league will eat you alive and it won't ask how you feel about it. And that's the part of it that I think these guys have to learn. It's a business and they will learn that very quickly.
100%, Eric. Next moves. Where do you see the Grizzlies moving next?
Boy, I wish I had an answer for that, Andrew. I like being straight with you, but I think they are pretty set in who their core base is going to be with Ja and Jaren. I think they're going to be open to listening to anything that comes across the table. I, for one, did not expect the Desmond Bane trade. I was telling somebody last night, they asked, did I see it coming? And I said, absolutely not. I figured they would be listening. And as much as we loved Desmond Bane, you got a bountiful, takeaway from that trade. You got 2 veteran players. If you want to shop them now, it's easier to shop them individually. And Bane's contract was such that when you got that offer, you just couldn't say no. So is somebody else going to come in and make an offer? I think, in my opinion, I would venture a guess that Ja and Jaren are totally off the table. Nobody can pry them away from the Grizzlies at this point. I think you've made your statement that that's the way you're moving forward in the future. But are there other pieces in the puzzle that may be able to be acquired by another team if the offer is right? I don't think they have to make a move. I think they have to figure some things out. They have to obviously get healthy. And Zach Kleiman is not one just to make a move to make a move. He's trying to do everything to look to building for the future, not just the year present, but the years coming ahead. I think when you start playing, hey, we're going to focus on 1 year and win right now, and that's all we're concerned about, and we'll deal with everything else next offseason, I think that sets you up for some potential disaster because you don't know when an injury is coming. You don't know when a player might have a situation where he's out for a year. You don't know if the harmony is going to be there, the chemistry is going to build. And if you just keep playing for that year ahead of you, I think you're doing your organization a disservice. And Zach Kleiman does not do that. He looks to the future. He looks to build a culture. And that's the other thing. I think they get guys in that they feel like really fit what they're wanting to do and how they're wanting to move forward. And that's the way you win basketball games in the NBA. Look, the Heat didn't just build a Heat culture saying, they actually built a culture. It is very real. I know people get tired of hearing that. The Thunder now have a culture. They went out and got a ton of draft picks over the years, didn't have guys that fit what they wanted, so they were willing to move off those draft picks and get later picks. But they took swings at guys. They hit on, Jalen Williams. They hit on Chet Holmgren with the number 2 pick. They got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in a trade, but the guys they sprinkled in after them are why they won the title, not those main 3. It's not always your superstar players. It's the guys filling the roles around them. If they can do it at a high level, that's what makes a super successful team.
Yeah, no question. The role players are huge. There's so much noise out there. Jaylen Brown, other free agents. Oh, they could be coming to the Grizzlies. Oh, top 3 or whatever. What do you tell Grizz Nation that's watching right now when it comes to perhaps the potential of more moves this offseason, and as the new season gets ready to, kick off or tip off, what would you say, or at least summer ball?
I'd say don't be shocked by anything, but I would say if you looked at it right now and this was the roster you were going to go into training camp with, remember that this team won 48 games last year. Yes, they faltered down the stretch. Yes, they got swept by the eventual world champions. And in that I say, had it not been for an injury to Ja Morant, I don't think they get swept. I think they win 1, maybe 2 games, but they had an injury. I think you cross your fingers and you hope for good health next year, because I've yet to see another team go through what the Grizzlies have kind of suffered through the last 3-4 years. They have not had a healthy roster come playoff time since they beat Minnesota in the first round. And even after that, Ja got banged up. So you need guys available. And I would just say keep a positive mental outlook on it. Trust that they feel comfortable with Tuomas Isalo as the new head coach. Trust that they feel comfortable with the roster they have constructed, and know that the West is a gauntlet. Don't be quick to just hit the panic button if you go through a stretch and you have a really difficult run of games. If you go 2-4 or 2-5, I don't think anybody's just going to blatantly run away with the West. Yes, the Thunder did that this year and won 68 games in the regular season. I don't know that that's going to happen next year. They are going to be now not only the hunted, they are the top dog, the top prize, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's coming after them. And that's a different mentality than what they entered this year with. People knew they were good. People now know they're world champions. And that's what happened with Denver. Denver came out, they won a title, and everybody threw everything they could at them to test their team and see where they were at. So I would say patience is a virtue. I would say it's not easy to be patient as a sports fan. It's almost impossible. Enjoy summer league action. Don't put too much stock in it. I'm not looking for wins and losses in summer league. I'm looking to see how guys compete. What's your level of drive? You're in Vegas, you're in Salt Lake City, whatever it may be. What are you focused on? I remember the year Taylor Jenkins took over in 2019. I was out with the team that entire 12-day stretch, and watching Brandon Clark when he was finally cleared to play, I remember saying, this dude's different. This dude goes after it. He's going to go out and try to just, hammer whoever's in front of him. And I remember his quote to me was, hey, it's not like I'm playing Kevin Garnett or like an all-star out here at Summer League, but if you put me on the court, I'm going to try to dominate whoever I play. I want to see that type of mentality. If you're out there and you're just like, oh, it's just Summer League, it doesn't matter, that's not a good sign to me. So those are the things I think you watch for. I don't think that those guys would make a Grizzlies draft selection if you had the interview process and found that out about a character. I don't think that he would be wearing a Grizzly jersey come Summer League or come in October. And, we're going to start counting down the days. It's an interesting stretch through July where you're getting ready for the NFL season. You see the NBA Summer League, then we get NFL preseason, and you get the first 3-4 weeks of the season. Before we know it, we're going to be having media day, and training camp starts on that Tuesday after that, and we're going to get to see these guys in action.
Right, looking forward to that. Eric, always appreciate the deep dive, the download on everything Grizzlies. We appreciate your time. Thanks for taking time out of your vacation to come talk to us.
Andrew, I'd do anything for you, my friend.
Well, listen, I look forward to getting together with you again soon, off camera, just
Absolutely, buddy. Turns out I have a little free time till October, so hit me up.
Good, good. Maybe we can watch the summer game together. Who knows?
Love to. Love to.
Okay. Take care of yourself. Thank you. Yo, Jerry, what's up? Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We know summer is in full swing. There are some studies out there that show nearly half, about 46% of Americans are anxious about affording all kinds of summer plans. We all want to get away. We want to have maybe some outdoor activities, bring some people over. And when budgets are tight, it's so important to reassess where you can cut back just to protect your bottom line here. So let's talk about tips for summer spending right now. I am joined on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by Courtney Alev. She is someone who works at Credit Karma. She is considered a consumer financial advocate, and she's going to help us when it comes to tips for spending this summer. I was reading some of your notes, Courtney. I love it. Let's dive right in and talk about some great tips for people that want to have some fun this summer, but are on a strict budget. Good morning.
Good morning.
So let's hear it.
We know a lot of Americans are very nervous about their spending this summer. You mentioned that about half of Americans are anxious about funding their summer plans, and 2/3 are opting for more budget-friendly activities this summer. But we also know that that does not apply to everyone. About half of young Americans say they are planning on prioritizing fun over their finances this summer, especially when it comes to things like travel or dining out or vacation. And that can really have an impact on their wallet and potentially lead to debt.
Yeah, and some of the notes I saw was they were great. And one of them talked about when you want to bring people over, let's say, you want to bring them over for grilling outside in the backyard. It's important to consider some things before you do that. Tell me more.
It's a great idea when you make a summer plan, to make sure it fits into your budget. It's not about not planning for the summer, but making plans that really work with your financial goals. For example, a lot of us love to travel over the summer, but we expect it to be really expensive. The good news is we all have a lot of local gems that are close by. Maybe it's camping, maybe it's a road trip or a visit to a lake. You can split the cost for gas or groceries with friends or family, and you can borrow gear you might need but not have. Those can be great ways to really keep the cost per person low for some summer travel while still getting that change of scenery that so many of us want during this season. And we all love dining out, especially on a nice summer evening, but we've also seen the cost of eating out has really gone up substantially. And this is where I'd really recommend considering dining in. It can be just as much fun, and I encourage folks to set up a theme night. Maybe it's DIY pizzas or a backyard barbecue. Those are some ways that you can really keep the cost a bit lower, but still have those fun travel or social experiences this summer with your friends and family.
And the idea of planning meals around sales at the grocery store, I love that.
Yes, it's a great time to be budget conscious. There's a lot of different sales and promotions happening. Anytime that you can take advantage of a deal, it's a good opportunity to do so. For example, with back to school shopping, even though it's summer just started, it's really going to be here before we know it. There's already retailers that are starting to offer sales, promotions, and price match guarantees. And so making a game plan now in summer can make sure that you're taking advantage of those sales and promotions once it comes time to shop.
What are some other practical approaches? You mentioned travel. We've talked about food, grocery store kind of sales. What else?
It's a great idea to just be really mindful of your spending this summer. For example, maybe you're taking one trip already. Perhaps it's a friend's wedding, it's a family reunion, or a music festival that you've really wanted to go to. Try making that your one main splurge for the summer, and then see where you can cut back on other non-essentials. Maybe it's less dining out, maybe it's less ride sharing, or whatever that is for you. That can really help you focus your extra money and time and energy on that one splurge while keeping the rest of your budget in check. I know for me, I'm going to a music festival this summer with friends I'm really excited about, and I'm also sleeping on their couch instead of getting a hotel. And that's one way to make sure I'm doing fun things with my summer without totally breaking my budget. And it's really important to make sure you are being really intentional with how you're funding that summer fun. One interesting thing we saw is about 3/4 of Gen Zers say that buy now, pay later options, which are increasingly common, actually encourage them to spend more money than maybe they can actually afford. And so it's a really good idea before you click buy on any of those summer plans or purchases to make sure that it's something that fits into your budget, not just now, but later as well.
Yeah, the budget stuff is key, especially when it comes to going in debt or staying out of debt. Listen, Courtney Alev, we really appreciate your time on the Digital Desk. Thank you for these tips for a fun and happy summer. We appreciate it. All right, good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. It's summertime. We know it's hot. We know that we're going to take our pet out for a walk. They're going to be out and about, and there's always some things to be concerned about when you take your pet outside. The normal hazards during the summer, heat stroke and dehydration, but there are some other things you might not be thinking about. I'm joined on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by Dr. Alexandra Meyer. She is a doctor of veterinary medicine. She is at VCA Woodbridge Animal Hospital, and joining us to talk about some of those dangers, those threats out there for our pet, and just some friendly reminders to keep them safe. Where do we begin, Alexandra? Good morning.
Well, you hit it right, kind of nail on that head. Heat's a big one. It is a heat wave right now. Our pets are very sensitive to some heat, so we do have to keep an eye on that. But also at the same time, food's a big one. We do have to worry about what kind of food our pets are being exposed to, as well as grills, fire pits, even candles and swimming pools can cause potential dangers if we're not careful.
Okay, so let's for our audience there, we have thousands of people who watch us each and every morning. Let's talk about those great ideas, suggestions, some tips out there just to have a safe summer for our pets.
Right. One tip that I highly recommend, we are going to have lots of barbecues this summer. It's beautiful. We are enjoying corn cobs, ribs, chicken bones. When you're done, put them in the trash and take that trash out to the curb. Don't let it sit in your house and become a potential hazard for your pet. It smells good, they want to eat it, but it can become obstructed. We can have GI irritation. Just take it out of your house so it doesn't become a problem.
Let's talk a little bit about the pavement. You know, oftentimes we don't think about how hot that pavement can get. Just some friendly reminders out there.
Absolutely. So when you go outside, that pavement absorbs quite a bit of heat. Take your hand and put it on the sidewalk or on the asphalt. If you can't hold your hand there more than a few seconds, it's too hot for your pet. Keep them on the grass if we are going to go for a walk, or if possible, keep them inside. Make it so they can't get their poor little paw pads burned.
What about a swimming pool? You know, you were just mentioning grilling out outside. You know, there's festivities going on. How do we keep our pets safe in the pool?
So pools are wonderful. Again, human nature, we love to be out there spending time with our pets, but even the strongest swimmer can become tired and can potentially drown. If you have a fence, putting a fence around the pool is a great safety, but also teaching your pet where those exit points are. If you have a shelf, also just always supervising your pet when you're around water or in the pool, and making sure if there is a dangerous situation, we can remove them from the pool.
Anything else you want to mention before we let you go, Alexandra?
DCA has a wonderful summer safety handbook on their website at www.dca.com. Also, from June 23rd to July 15th, our local ERs are having a 50% off coupon of your exam fee. You can find your local ER by going to www.dca.com, clicking Find Care in the right corner, and putting in your zip code to find your local VCA veterinarian.
Okay, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine Alexandra Meyer joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Thank you so much for some of those tips and ideas and suggestions for all of us to have a safe and happy summer. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. There's always a lot of chatter about cryptocurrency, new coins, perhaps some investments out there. On the Action News 5 Digital Desk, I also want to talk about some scams. There are some scams out there, and we want to talk about them so you don't get ripped off. I'm joined right now on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by Ali Tager. She is with the nonprofit National Cryptocurrency Association to talk a little bit about cryptocurrency and some scams out there. Ali, where do we begin? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Perfect timing. It's Internet Safety Month, and the National Cryptocurrency Association is out here helping everyday Americans learn how to navigate the crypto landscape safely and responsibly. Unfortunately, we know that there are scammers and fraudsters in every market, and protecting yourself really comes down to practicing smart online habits, and security should always be top of mind. So excited to share more with you about some common scams and safety habits.
Yeah, so Ali, I understand there was a new study out there that talks specifically about this issue. Give me the highlights from it, please.
Yeah, we just did the largest ever study of crypto holders in America. We met with 10,000 crypto holders who come from all walks of life. They come from all genders, generations, regions across the country, industries, and income brackets. And more than 3/4 of them are actually seeing really positive results from using cryptocurrency. They are seeing financial gains, they're seeing a sense of achievement, learning and development opportunities, and a sense of fun and excitement. Very, very few of them have had negative experiences, and even fewer of those have been scam or fraud related. But unfortunately, we know that scams are pervasive in every corner of the internet. We see phishing scams where people try to get you to click on random links in social media posts, texts, or emails. We see pump and dump schemes where groups band together to artificially hype up prices of coins and then leave others holding the bag. And then we see fraudsters impersonate friends, loved ones, trusted institutions to try and get you to send them cryptocurrency. So it's really important that you're being wary of all of this, that you are not sharing your information with anyone you don't know, and that you're keeping your private crypto keys like your PIN and password super safe and secure.
Yeah, that's just a good practice for any business, any kind of investment, no matter if it's cryptocurrency or not, where there's constantly scammers trying to get into your personal information online, what have you. So let's talk about some of those top crypto scams that you and your organization is seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately named pig butchering, which is just as horrible as it sounds. That's when someone pretends to build a relationship with you over time before they start to pressure you to send them sometimes smaller increments and then larger increments of cryptocurrency. We see this with online dating all the time. There's also giveaway scams where people will say, oh, if you send me just a small amount of crypto, I will send you even more back. And so it's really important that you are wary of any urgency or pressure tactics. If someone's trying to get you to send them crypto very quickly, it has a limited time offer. It's really important that you're not clicking on random links or trusting anyone that you don't know. You don't want to take financial advice from a stranger. You certainly don't want to send them your money. And when it comes to crypto, transactions are final. They can't be reversed. And so general rule of thumb, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Oh, yeah, that is always a general good rule of thumb. Where can we get some more information about scams to watch for, good health practices on the internet, that sort of thing?
Of course, the National Cryptocurrency Association is a one-stop shop to learn more about what crypto is, how it works, and how to stay safe. So encourage everyone to go to nca.org to learn more.
Okay, Ali Tager with the National Cryptocurrency Association. Appreciate the time on the digital desk. Valuable information for so many of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. A construction wave is sweeping across the U.S., and it's fueled by a number of different things. It's fueled by AI, it's fueled by onshore construction, infrastructure upgrades, and the urgent need for affordable housing. I want to talk to someone more about this boom that we're seeing, this development boom, and how we can all get involved. I'm joined right now on the Action News 5 digital desk by Nolik Forrest. She is a corporate affairs officer with Amrise. Nolik, good to see you, and tell me a little bit more about this boom headed our way. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. As you mentioned, there was about a $2 trillion investment in the U.S. annually to basically support the construction momentum that's going on. And we really see three long-term trends that are driving this. One of them is the modernization of infrastructure, with a lot of infrastructure that can be up to 100 years old across the U.S. But also in the commercial market, what we're seeing is advanced manufacturing really coming back to the U.S. And we're building factories. For instance, in Tennessee, we're right now part of building the Ford Blue Oval battery plant. But also we see chip factories, data centers, warehouses, distribution centers. It's just really booming across the nation. And in the residential market, there is a 5 million housing gap in the U.S. that really needs to be bridged. But also the building stock is about 40 years old on average. So there's a huge opportunity to retrofit a lot of homes to make them future-proof so that our families are safe.
That's a lot of good news, Nolig. I mean, you mentioned everything there, this building boom that's hitting the U.S. How can people here in Memphis in the Mid-South get involved?
Well, I think that Amrize is coming to the market serving a whole range of construction projects, from the new Tennessee Titans football stadium to factories like the Ford battery plant. I think what's important is to make sure that you use the most advanced building solutions so that you're future-proofing everything you build for today, but also for tomorrow. So Amrize is here to be your partner of choice.
And tell us a little bit more about Amrize.
So Amrize is going to be the largest building solutions company that is 100% focused on the North American market, so focused on the US and Canada. We are going to be providing building solutions as a partner of choice to professional builders, from foundation to rooftop, so from concrete all the way to advanced roofing systems and wall systems and decking. And we really are serving all construction markets, from infrastructure to residential, commercial, new build, repair and refurbishment. And we have 1,000 facilities across the region so that we can serve customers in every single state. So we really want to be the partner of choice for professional builders.
So we have thousands of people who watch us each and every morning here in the Memphis area. So that's West Tennessee, that's Eastern Arkansas, North Mississippi. Anything else you'd like to mention to those folks who are watching right now?
Well, I think that Amrize is going to be the local-to-local building partner of choice. So we're here for all of your building needs, from schools to homes to highways and bridges. We're here to make sure that we can advance the built environment to improve everybody's lives. So reach out to Amrize if you have any building need.
Okay, Nolig Forrest, we really appreciate your time on the Digital Desk. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Monday morning, which is featuring a warm-up for us. But I want to take you to the tropics first, because actually the tropics is part of our forecast, at least in the short term. First off, we'll talk about this area here. This is an area of low pressure that's developing in the northeastern Gulf, working its way across Florida. It has a low chance of development along a stalled out frontal boundary across north central Florida that could have some issues eventually that will impact parts of the upcoming holiday weekend. Farther down to the south, a remnant low now of Barry, which was a tropical storm that was coming out of the Bay of Campeche, working its way into Mexico yesterday. But that moisture that's associated with the remnants of Barry have to go somewhere. And of course, you see the moisture in association with that one low that I was just talking about in the northeastern Gulf, and then another batch of moisture that's coming out of the Bay of Campeche, coming right up the eastern shores of seaboard of Mexico. And of course, coming right up into Texas and then curling back around, and there's a front that's looming to the north and west. So some of this moisture is coming northward in our direction, of course, helping to facilitate a couple of things here across the Mid-South. Of course, stay up to date with the very latest anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Interactive radar as well as severe weather alerts right there in the palm of your hand. Rain could be part of the story, at least one part of the story as we go through the course of the day. Temperatures getting in the low 90s, a scattering and smattering of showers and thunderstorms developing, and that comes by way again of that approaching front and the increase in moisture that's coming up out of the Gulf. You also tap into a fair amount of heat and humidity combination. Feels like temperatures today up around 105. Heat advisories are in effect for many sections of the area, including Memphis and Shelby County. Of course, a level 1 out of 5 risk in play for severe weather here today. I think the main time frame after about 2-3 o'clock this afternoon that will roll us into the evening hours, and that comes by way of this approaching front. Here's a look at our First Alert Futurecast, starting off with some clouds here this morning. I think we get a decent amount of sunshine still mixing in. A little bit more in the way of cloudiness across our easternmost communities may keep the temperatures a couple degrees cooler there. Approaching front will kick off scattered showers and thunderstorms as we head through the early evening hours. I think there will be a big pulse in activity, at least for a couple of hours here as we head through the early evening, early overnight period as the front works its way down towards the south. But this isn't the main front. The front's still looming to the north and west of us at this point. At 7 a.m. on Tuesday, still some lingering showers across. I still think that there's some spotty activity that we'll have to tangle with as we head towards your Tuesday before the front actually swings southward and eventually clears the board. And we'll have some fog early on Wednesday morning and drier air filtering in behind that. I think we end up with a pretty beautiful day coming up on Wednesday with temperatures on the rebound back up through the upper 80s and low 90s. And here's your drop in humidity. Again, spiking up between today and tomorrow. And then here's the downward trend that takes us into the middle and latter portion of the week. A couple things that will come along with this as well. As we lose the humidity, we'll heat things up. So actual air temperatures start to go up in a big way. See the ridge of high pressure, the heat dome, it starts to return by the middle and latter portion of the week, of course, anchoring itself across portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas. We're going to be on the eastern flank of it. I think we're still going to be kind of on edge enough or in a strong enough portion of the ridge where we don't have anything backfilling in. We start to see disturbances coming down the backside of it, but we'll be watching it closely, because that's something that could very well happen as the ridge kind of contracts and expands here in the next couple of days. Of course, high pressure sinking air compresses, warms up, and that's what you're going to see in your extended forecast is a big warm up. And remember, drier air warms more efficiently. So as we drop the humidity levels, the temperature is going to heat up pretty quickly. So it's not going to be like we drop and nothing happens. I mean, this is going to rebound pretty quickly. So we'll have some scattered showers and storms again this afternoon across the Mid-South. I think that continues into the overnight period, but the rain chance is 60%, 30-40% rain chances going into your Tuesday. Otherwise, variably cloudy skies. I think we're partly cloudy on Wednesday, a high near 90, 92 coming up on Thursday as that ridge starts to build on top of us. That sets us up for all of the events that are happening on July 3rd. I know a lot of people are like, why are things happening on July 3rd? That's just how things are. Liberty for All, one of those things happening over at Liberty Park. City Bartlett's having their fireworks display also on July 3rd. And I think the weather's going to cooperate with you. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures near 90 by 5 o'clock, dropping off to the low 80s by 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, 4th of July itself and the return of the fireworks down at the riverfront. Super excited about that. I think we're in good shape there, too. It's going to be a little hotter, though, on 4th of July, up to 93 by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, not a lot of wind to blow this stuff around. And guess what? As we get underneath that core of the ridge, we stay pretty hot all the way through the upcoming weekend. We add in a couple of extra degrees, 96s, both on Saturday and Sunday. Chances for rain will be pretty slim, but you might catch a quick downpour in 1 or 2 instances. We'll keep the chances for rain at a minimum through early next week, but we start to buckle the ridge and eventually leads up to better chances for showers and storms as we head towards the middle portion of next week.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. On Tuesday, July 1st, there's going to be a change when it comes to Tennessee law. The Tennessee Human Rights Commission will be eliminated, and with it, the extension of a 300-day statute of limitations for filing unemployment discrimination claims. So after July 1st, okay, that's Tuesday, Tennesseans must now solely turn to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and that has a much shorter 180-day deadline. Let's talk a little bit about this, how it will affect Tennesseans and people in our area. I'm joined right now by Memphis attorney Alan Crone. He specializes in employment law, among other things, joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Alan, what does this change mean to you from your perspective? Good morning.
Good morning. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. This is kind of a double-edged sword for everybody. The most important thing is that everybody understand the change and be prepared for it. Now, what it actually means is this year the General Assembly disbanded the Tennessee Human Rights Act. The Tennessee Human Rights Commission, which is tasked with enforcing the Tennessee Human Rights Act. And before July 1st, currently, if you want to file a discrimination claim, you have 300 days to do it, and you can either file with the EEOC or you can file with the Tennessee Human Rights Commission. And because we have that, they call it dual filing capability in Tennessee, that extends the statute from 180 days to 300 days to file that claim of discrimination. So, and that's from the date of the discrimination or harassment or retaliation or whatever it is that you're complaining of. And so it's going to make it more and more important for workers to go to the EEOC as soon as possible because that 180-day ticker could be started, and it may not be when you think. In other words, if they tell you you're going to get fired on a Monday, effective 2 weeks later, the statute starts to run when they tell you you're going to get fired, as opposed to 2 weeks later. And with the 300 days, that didn't come into play very often, but 180 days is not that long to kind of decide what to do. So that's the biggest change, and it's going to put more pressure on the EEOC because now all the charges in Tennessee are going to go to it. The Attorney General is forming a group within his office in Nashville to enforce the Tennessee Human Rights Act. That was all the functions of the commission were transferred to the Attorney General. Now, what that means in terms of what you can file and how, I don't know that all that has been worked out yet.
Got it.
But that's the effect writ large.
Okay. And so what happens if you miss this 100-day deadline? So this goes into effect July 1st. That's Tuesday. What happens if someone misses this deadline? Do they not have any kind of repercussions at all?
Under federal law, you're done. Under state law, you can still file in court under the Tennessee Human Rights Act up to a year from the date of discrimination.
Okay, and can you talk a little bit about the topics as a whole when it comes under this umbrella as workplace discrimination? Well,
that's a pretty wide category, but basically it's anything that adverse employment action arising out of a protected activity or a protected category. There's lots of harassment and discrimination. It's perfectly legal because it's not based on whether on your color, your sex, your religion, those sorts of things, or engaging in Family Medical Act leave, or reporting discrimination, or reporting unsafe working conditions, or refusing to participate in or remain silent about illegal activity. So if you've had something that has happened to you, and you believe it's because of your, inclusion in a protected category or protected activities, then you should do something. You should, first of all, if you've got an HR, department in your company, you should start there. You should complain to somebody in management if you don't have a clearly defined process. Some people are uncomfortable doing that. You might want to consult with an employment lawyer to see if what's happening to you is illegal as opposed to just unfair or bad business. And companies should continue to do whatever they're doing to prevent this type of activity.
I appreciate you saying that. That was you answered my question there. Anything else you'd like to add with regards to what workers need to know about these changes and what they should be doing maybe before the deadline or perhaps after?
I would say if someone thinks they have a claim right now and it happened more than 6 months ago, then they should, to be safe rather than sorry, they should go ahead and file. I believe that anything that happens before June 30th is covered by the 300-day statute. I don't think the legislature can take away a right retrospectively like that. But that's just my opinion. My opinion is worth what you're paying for it right now.
Yeah.
So I would, if you have a claim that exists now, and you really think you're going to pursue it, then I would go to the EEOC today or Monday and file, just to make sure that you're protecting yourself.
Okay, Alan Crone, really appreciate this deep dive into this important move here that's happening on Tuesday, July 1st. Tennessee Human Rights Commission to be eliminated then and what to do after that. We appreciate your time on the Digital Desk. Thank you for giving us some insight on next steps after all of that. Thank you.
Hey, it's my pleasure, and I appreciate it.
Well, hello there. It's me, Dolly. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Coming up in just a minute, you're going to hear from one of my people who's going to tell you all about all the fun things happening here at Dollywood to celebrate our 40th anniversary season this year. You don't want to miss it. Now stay right here, and we'll be right back.
And we are back here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk talking about the 40th anniversary of Dollywood. Yeah, it's been around 40 years. It's going to be a spectacular summer for anyone that goes to Dollywood as they celebrate 40 years. This was something that started as a roadside attraction. Just on the side of the road, it seemed like, in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, East Tennessee, and is now turned into the #1 theme park in America. This is according to TripAdvisor reviews. And joining me now on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, I'm joined by Pete Owens. He is Vice President of Marketing and PR at Dollywood. And Pete, I see that you're out and about among some of the crowds there. Good morning to you. Tell me what's going on in Dollywood.
Good morning to you. It's a beautiful day here in East Tennessee. We're right on what we call Show Street, which is our front room. Right when you walk in the gate, this is the first thing that you're going to see. You see the kite sky behind me that's celebrating summer. We're getting ready to open our summer festival this summer. And as you said, it's going to be a great year for us. It is the 40th anniversary. We're celebrating all of those things that we've done in the past, but we're also trying to make new memories with families. And we've got some great new shows, including a brand new drone and fireworks show for summer that's going to do some things that folks around here and actually folks all over the region have probably never seen before. And that's drones that actually have fireworks on them and they work together. So it's going to be a pretty interesting summer.
It sounds like it. And right now, you know, our audience is looking at some video from Dollywood, just a great attraction there that so many people from our area here in the Mid-South, you know, West Tennessee, North Mississippi, Eastern Arkansas, thousands of families here love to go to Dollywood in East Tennessee and Pigeon Forge and check things out. So when they arrive this summer, Pete, give us some details on what exactly they can expect this summer that's going to be different from years past.
Well, I mean, we're celebrating the 40th anniversary primarily with shows. We've got a brand new show called Play On that goes through the 40 years of entertainment. You said that Dollywood really started as a roadside attraction, which is true. Started with our train all the way back in 1960. But when we became Dollywood after the 1985 season of Silver Dollar City, we really started to build our brand on entertainment. I mean, obviously that makes sense for Dolly because she is a legend in the entertainment industry, and we have legendary shows. So Play On really chronicles all of that. Talked a minute ago about the summer celebration that we have with the incredible 40th anniversary drone and fireworks show, which goes part of our Sweet Summer Nights dance party that comes out in the evening as soon as it starts to get a little dusky around here. But folks can really, they can reminisce about all of the great food they've had. We're celebrating the best food for 40 years. We're celebrating the best rides over the years. And there are a lot of different little surprises and icons around that folks will remember, including a brand new sign that we've put in that is an homage to what Dolly said all the way back in 1980 when she moved to Hollywood, saw the Hollywood sign and said, that looks like Dollywood. And we have a Dollywood sign up that is the thing that we used back in 1985 to announce Dollywood. So really some fun, cool things. But any day at Dollywood's a great day. You can go to Dollywood Splash Country, our water park. Folks from West Tennessee can come up and stay in one of our resorts, but just enjoy the day here in the Great Smoky Mountains. It's the most beautiful place on the planet and a great place to come for vacation.
I love it, Pete. So if someone's watching right now, they're interested in bringing their family, what do you recommend they do?
Well, first place to go is go to Dollywood.com. And the opportunity there is you can plan your visit. You can see what value pricing we have for the summer. We have a lot of different deals going this summer, both for the resorts and for the parks, and an opportunity for them to see what the best thing is for them. And then before they arrive, download the Dollywood app so they have the opportunity to see show schedule, the map that we have that's on the app, and any new offers we have. We also have mobile ordering on our app so that if you're out doing something in the park, you decide you and your family want to have lunch, you can order ahead and you can get your lunch whenever you arrive. So it is, technology is new in a theme park that started with an 1880s theme, but there's a lot of trip planning tools that we have and a lot of offers we have for the summer, and that's what I would encourage folks to do first.
That sounds great. Pete Owens, Dollywood's VP of Marketing and PR. We appreciate you coming on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, celebrating 40 years of Dollywood. Thanks so very much.
Thank you.
Okay, have a great summer, of course, and Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. Families are making plans already for, summer travel season. I mean, there are times where we just need to get out of town, okay? We don't care how much it costs, but we should care how much it costs. And we want to maximize our dollars for a great road trip. And that seems to be what a lot of families are doing. They're choosing cars over planes because, hey, look, it's more affordable. And if you plan ahead and you take the right small steps, it can make a huge, huge difference. So on the Action News 5 digital desk, I want to bring in my next guest here, Joe Saul of CHI. He is joining us. He is someone who is a personal finance expert to talk about ways that we can maximize our travel dollars for our road trip this summer. Joe, good morning to you. So first off, let's talk a little bit about those summer road trips, why people are taking them, and how to best maximize our dollar. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. We're all seeing it in our wallet, right? Since the pandemic, a recent national study showed that prices are up about 15% when it comes to travel. Restaurants alone, if you've been in any local restaurant, you already know what I'm talking about. Restaurants up 30%. So this year, it looks like, by the way, that airline prices are flat. But if you remember before the pandemic, a lot of the time we didn't have to pay extra to pick the seat we're sitting in. We didn't have to pay extra for baggage fees. Across the board now, for not sitting basic economy, really add up whether we're going alone or with a family. So I think that's why this year a lot of families are like, what's in my backyard, or how do I hit the road to maybe have some comfortable travel and see some of Americana that I hadn't seen before?
Yeah, I love it. Those road trips can be a lot of fun with the whole family piled in. So let's talk about ways to make sure we don't overspend. And I know a lot of that has to deal with kind of planning ahead, right, Joe?
Oh, sure. And you know what? I'll give you some hacks on both sides. First of all, on planning. I don't like over planning, number one. I'm a planner by nature as a finance guy, right? In my podcast, Stacking Benjamins, we talk about planning. But when you over plan, you suck all the fun out of vacation. We're not the Griswolds. We don't want to do that. So I got this 2-thing rule. We're going to plan a couple things, and I'll give you a couple websites. Love TripAdvisor. If I'm going into that restaurant with restaurant prices up, I want to make sure it's worth it. So we'll find someplace quirky. I get to look at the menu ahead of time so my family knows what they're getting into. And you know what? TripAdvisor is a place where locals have talked about the restaurant. So I can go in and I can read the reviews ahead of time to make restaurants a good experience if I'm going. But also, if I'm on the road trip, I can pack snacks and I can maybe cook. I'm in this beautiful metro park here. If we just look around Memphis and we're going to hopefully be out in the breeze and the temperature stays under 100 degrees, we could be out in the local park that doesn't get as much love as it could. And I'm grilling out, which is going to be a fantastic time. I also there's a website called Viator or Viator, Viator.com. A lot of local tours if you're traveling this year. So I love the haunted tours. I like being a little bit scared. Number 2, I like food tours. I love history tours of these little towns around America. Those are so fun. They often cost a lot less money. So that's on that planning side. But there's another planning side people forget. And as a finance guy, I think this is a big one, which is I don't want to get into credit card debt. And I don't want to create these horrible experiences when I get home. I want to be refreshed and ready to go. So I want it to fit the budget. But then if I'm ready to pay cash, everybody asks me about these rewards programs. I then want to take advantage of the reward program because if I add up points, and these points can add up fairly quickly, and I pay them off right away, I take that cash cushion and I pay it off right after I swipe the card, then I'm not getting into credit card debt and I'm accumulating points, which makes the trip less expensive and also makes the next one less expensive.
You and I are on the same wavelength on this, Joe. I just took a trip not too long ago, and I checked out TripAdvisor and actually had some trips with Viator. So great stuff. I love it. That you're right on point. Let's continue and talk about maybe some tips for gas, hotels, that sort of thing, because those can add up quickly, especially the prices of hotels these days. I don't know about you, but it just feels like hotels have skyrocketed.
if you're traveling this holiday weekend, you don't want to wait because there's a lot of competition. But let's give people some advice for other times. If you're traveling off season, sometimes waiting till the last minute on the hotel when hotels aren't full, they're just trying to get that occupancy rate up. So 4th of July weekend, hear me clearly, if you're staying at a hotel, you want to book now. But off-season travel, maybe waiting is going to save you some dollars. You know what I like too, if we're traveling with the family and with the restaurant price up, this is where Airbnb or Vrbo comes in. Airbnb and Vrbo doesn't necessarily spend you money on the surface, but if I can cook a meal at home after going to the local grocery store on the road trip, everybody's happy. We play some games while we're at the Airbnb. Also, some of these places are pretty quirky and we're making good memories. I got this friend, Whitney Hansen, who's in Idaho. Shout out to Whitney. Whitney created a house that looks like a flower pot. Like imagine taking your family and staying in a flower pot. We stayed on the coast of Lake Michigan one time in this boat in a marina, the little town called Saugatuck. My family, my kids still talk about that trip. So looking at Vrbo, looking at Airbnb can really not just save money, but can also create some fun memories for the family. Next thing too, by the way, again, I'm standing in this park. Look at parks. Look at, national parks get so much recognition. State and local parks, not nearly as much. This park that I'm in right now, there's a petting farm where my kids petted animals. It costs nothing more. I took a hike here one time and had bird seed and birds eating right out of my hand, like phenomenal fun.
I love it. I love it. What else? What other kind of tools or programs can we touch on before we let you go, Joe? This is all very effective. We have thousands of people who watch us each and every morning.
Well, I got to tell you, taking care of that vehicle, if we're doing the road trip, which I love, as you can tell, I do a lot of road trips in the Saul Sehy family, taking care of really important. So if you've got the app on your phone, we talked about those two apps earlier, the Vitor app and the TripAdvisor, your car manufacturer, whether it's GM, one of the other manufacturers, they all have an app and you can look at the health of your car, properly inflating your tires, making sure you're ready for the scheduled maintenance. Your biggest expense if you don't own a house, you know what the number 2 expense is? That car, and you want to have a lot of road trips. So a great website I'll leave people with is experience.gm.com. Which has no annual fee and is one of those cards I talked about with point programs, can help you a lot on accumulating points and saving some money on the trip, and also other GM maintenance, the GM reward. Experience.gm.com is another great tool to have in your tool belt.
Okay, Joe Saul Sehy, we appreciate your time here. Great advice, great tips for that great summer vacation for us all. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope everybody has a phenomenal independence.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 digital desk here on a Monday morning, which is featuring a warm-up for us. But I want to take you to the tropics first because actually the tropics is part of our forecast, at least in the short term. First off, we'll talk about this area here. This is an area of low pressure that's developing in the northeastern Gulf, working its way across Florida. It has a low chance of development along a stalled out frontal boundary across north central Florida that could have some issues eventually that will impact parts of the upcoming holiday weekend. Farther down to the south, a remnant low now of Barry, which was a tropical storm that was coming out of the Bay of Campeche, working its way into Mexico yesterday. But that moisture that's associated with the remnants of Barry have to go somewhere. And of course, you see the moisture in association with that one low that I was just talking about in the northeastern Gulf, and then another batch of moisture that's coming out of the Bay of Campeche, coming right up the eastern shores of seaboard of Mexico. And of course, coming right up into Texas and curling back around, and there's a front that's looming to the north and west. So some of this moisture is coming northward in our direction, of course, helping to facilitate a couple of things here across the Mid-South. Of course, stay up to date with the very latest anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Interactive radar as well as severe weather alerts right there in the palm of your hand. Rain could be part of the story, at least one part of the story as we go through the course of the day. Temperatures getting in the low 90s, a scattering and smattering of showers and thunderstorms developing, and that comes by way again of that approaching front and the increase in moisture that's coming up out of the Gulf. You also tap into a fair amount of heat and humidity combination. Feels like temperatures today up around 105. Heat advisories are in effect for many sections of the area, including Memphis and Shelby County. Of course, a level 1 out of 5 risk in play for severe weather here today. I think the main time frame after about 2-3 o'clock this afternoon that will roll us into the evening hours, and that comes by way of this approaching front. Here's a look at our First Alert Futurecast, starting off with some clouds here this morning. I think we get a decent amount of sunshine still mixing in. A little bit more in the way of cloudiness across our easternmost communities may keep the temperatures a couple of degrees cooler there. Approaching front will kick off scattered showers and thunderstorms as we head through the early evening hours. I think there will be a big pulse in activity, at least for a couple of hours here as we head through the early evening, early overnight period as the front works its way down towards the south. But this isn't the main front. The front's still looming to the north and west of us at this point. At 7 a.m. on Tuesday, still some lingering showers across. I still think that there's some spotty activity that we'll have to tangle with as we head towards your Tuesday before the front actually swings southward and eventually clears the board. And we'll have some fog early on Wednesday morning and drier air filtering in behind that. I think we end up with a pretty beautiful day coming up on Wednesday with temperatures on the rebound back up through the upper 80s and low 90s. And here's your drop in humidity. Again, spiking up between today and tomorrow. And then here's the downward trend that takes us into the middle and latter portion of the week. A couple things that will come along with this as well. As we lose the humidity, we'll heat things up. So actual air temperatures start to go up in a big way. See the ridge of high pressure, the heat dome, it starts to return by the middle and latter portion of the week, of course, anchoring itself across portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas. We're going to be on the eastern flank of it. I think we're still going to be kind of on edge enough, or in a strong enough portion of the ridge where we don't have anything backfilling in. We start to see disturbances coming down the backside of it, but we'll be watching it closely, because that's something that could very well happen as the ridge kind of contracts and expands here in the next couple of days. Of course, high pressure, sinking air compresses, warms up, and that's what you're going to see in your extended forecast is a big warm up. And remember, drier air warms more efficiently. So as we drop the humidity levels, the temperature is going to heat up pretty quickly. So it's not going to be like we drop and nothing happens. I mean, this is going to rebound pretty quickly. So we'll have some scattered showers and storms again this afternoon across the Mid-South. I think that continues into the overnight period, but the rain chance is 60%, 30-40% rain chances going into your Tuesday. Otherwise, variably cloudy skies. I think we're partly cloudy on Wednesday, a high near 90, 92 coming up on Thursday as that ridge starts to build on top of us. That sets us up for all of the events that are happening on July 3rd. I know a lot of people are like, why are things happening on July 3rd? That's just how things are. Liberty for All, one of those things happening over at Liberty Park. City Bartlett's having their fireworks display also on July 3rd. And I think the weather's going to cooperate with you. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures near 90 by 5 o'clock, dropping off to the low 80s by 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, 4th of July itself and the return of the fireworks down at the riverfront. Super excited about that. I think we're in good shape there, too. It's going to be a little hotter, though, on 4th of July, up to 93 by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, not a lot of wind to blow this stuff around. And guess what? As we get underneath that core of the ridge, we stay pretty hot all the way through the upcoming weekend. We add in a couple of extra degrees, 96s, both on Saturday and Sunday. Chances for rain will be pretty slim, but you might catch a quick downpour in 1 or 2 instances. We'll keep the chances for rain at a minimum through early next week, but we start to buckle the ridge and eventually leads up to better chances for showers and storms as we head towards the middle portion of next week.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Well, if you've stepped outside, you know that the heat is on this summer in Memphis and the Mid-South. Going to be a hot one as it is each and every year. So what's the best way to hydrate yourself? A lot of people say, okay, hydration, I got to drink lots of water. Well, what about electrolytes? And what about really kind of fulfilling your body with all that energy in addition to just water? When should we use electrolytes? When should we not? Which one should we use? Is there too much sugar involved? It's a lot to sort out when it comes to hydrating your body, especially in the summer months. Let's bring in someone in the know right now. I'm joined by Kristen Skinner. She works at Lifetime Fitness in Collierville, fitness trainer, group trainer, a leader there. Kristen, glad to have you back on the digital desk. So I don't know if you get that question a lot, how to hydrate yourself, but certainly that is a big question right now. Where do we begin on this conversation? Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks so much for having me on. It's funny because there's a lot of trends out there right now. If you look at TikTok or Instagram or even Facebook, there's a lot of trends going around with different types of electrolytes, different drinks. And even here in the club, people come in with all different types of drinks from, carbonated to in their shaker bottles. So the bigger question is, what are electrolytes and why do we need them? What do they do? And to get down just to the basics of it, the electrolytes are minerals like sodium, potassium, magnesium. They help your body to stay hydrated. They help your muscles to really work properly. Sometimes we don't even know that things are out of balance. We have these different symptoms and we try to treat them in different ways, but we don't know that it's due to an electrolyte imbalance. Like if you feel fatigued, you might think that, it could be something off with hormones, which could be the case, but it could also be an electrolyte imbalance. If there's muscle cramps, that could be magnesium, but magnesium could be due to, not enough electrolytes in your body. If you're having headaches or that general, blah feeling, I call it the bewitching hour in the afternoon. A lot of people are prone to just go for that next cup of coffee, but we are naturally losing electrolytes all day as we sweat, as we breathe through our just normal bodily functions.
Yeah, no question. I get that. And sometimes I'll look at some of those electrolytes, I'll read the label and I'll see, the first ingredient is sugar. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. These electrolytes should have much more when it comes to potassium and magnesium and other minerals, right? I mean, when it comes to a supplement of electrolytes, what should we be looking for?
100%. I totally agree. First, you want to avoid the added sugars. So especially if your first ingredient is sugar, especially artificial sweeteners, you want to avoid the artificial sweeteners, avoid the dyes and colors. So when you're looking at a label, look for clear labeling, the natural flavoring, real ingredients. I've taught my daughter that you want to look for ingredients that you can actually pronounce, and look for products that are third-party tested. Here at Lifetime, all of our products are third-party tested. Our LTH Hydrate is one of our greatest electrolyte supplements. It's blended with real sea salt, key minerals. There's no added sugars, and it's third-party tested.
Excellent. Let me ask you this, because let's say, we're not working out, okay? We're inside the office, and, a lot of times here at my newsroom, in our studio, we have different things about hydration, drinking lots of water, drinking a lot more than people might typically drink. Is there maybe a guideline of how much water we should drink a day, even if we don't go outside and, play any kind of sport? Just going to work, should we be drinking a certain amount?
Sure. If you think about your body weight in kilograms, now that's a lot. Let's say if you have an average human, 1 pound per kilogram of body weight, if you're aiming for, even the easy way is 8-ounce glasses. That would put you at 64 ounces in a day. Okay, that's an easy no-brainer, and it should be something that everyone could accomplish. If you started with just a bottle of water, or your water bottle that you carry every day, and aim to refill it 4 times, average water bottle will be somewhere between 12 and 24 ounces. So if you had a pretty big cup like that, if you just aim to refill that about 4 times, that would be pretty good, especially if you're not planning to be outside, if you're not planning to be active. But I'm glad you brought that up, because adding in electrolytes are not for everybody. And so if you have a desk job and you're sitting inside all day, it might not be necessary that you have to actually add in more electrolytes. Just drinking plenty of water would be ideal.
Excellent. Good to hear. Where do people make the biggest mistakes, Kristen, when it comes to hydration?
Well, I would say one of the biggest mistakes is not starting soon enough. So making sure that we've got our bodies efficiently hydrated, starting early. Also, making sure you've got the right products. You're not starting with something that's based on sugar. Especially if you're going to be in hot and humid conditions. Make sure you start early and then keep it onboarding as you go. You can also alternate between some electrolytes and water, but where a lot of people nowadays, I feel like, make a lot of mistakes is they're not getting enough rest, and they're drinking a lot of caffeine or taking a lot of caffeine supplements, and misperceiving the cues that their body is beginning to dehydrate, when an electrolyte supplement would be really helpful.
Good point, Kristen. Anything else you can mention right now that our thousands of people who watch us each and every morning might find perhaps to their advantage this summer?
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits when it comes to supplementing with an electrolyte. If you think about your hydration efficiency, your body actually uses water more effectively when electrolytes are present. So sometimes, especially when it's really hot and humid, plain water can just go right through you. But with an electrolyte, it actually gets absorbed and utilized at the cellular level, so it can apply more benefits when it comes to hydrating your cells. If you're using it during workouts, whether you're inside or outside, you have sustained energy. Sometimes, during workouts, especially if you have a longer workout, you feel like you hit a wall about 30 minutes into your workout, but having that proper electrolyte balance can help to maintain the blood volume and supports consistent muscle contractions throughout the workout. Not only during your workout, but then your recovery after the workout. Electrolytes can help to reduce muscle soreness and support the repair process that happens after exercise. And then last, your focus and your clarity. If you're not hydrated, you tend to feel foggy. So proper hydration with electrolytes supports that cognitive function and reduces that afternoon brain fog.
Nice. Okay, just to recap, when it comes to electrolytes and what we should include if we in fact do have electrolytes in our water, we're talking about minerals like sodium, potassium, magnesium, sea salt, anything else?
It's okay to look for things that you like. So when looking at some of the hydration supplements that we have a new flavor called spicy margarita. So just let your imagination take hold, right? If you like some type of mocktail, like today I have a blood orange margarita in a mocktail. One that I also like is a peach mango refresher. So we have a peach mango flavor. So you don't necessarily have to buy an electrolyte drink right off the shelf. A lot of times we're looking for things that we would like, things that would taste good, But if I like fresh oranges, I can shake up a blood orange flavor and put some fresh fruit in there and make it customized just for me. So I'm kind of planning up some 4th of July mocktails to go along with my electrolyte supplement.
I'll take a spicy margarita later this afternoon. Kristen Skinner, thank you so much for joining us on the Digital Desk. We appreciate the knowledge. Very beneficial, certainly, and very timely for the summer months. Thank you.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great day.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Heart disease still remains the #1 killer of both adult men and women in the U.S., but few realize the critical role that genetics play when it comes to our heart health. Let's talk more about this discussion with someone and a couple of people who actually know a lot about this next topic. We're talking about the critical role of genetics, specifically high lipoprotein little a. I'm joined now on the Digital Desk by cardiologist Dr. Keith Ferdinand and Susan Riley, a Family Heart Foundation ambassador who has firsthand experience with this condition. Good morning to you both. And Susan, I'd like to begin with you. Tell me about lipoprotein little a and the high levels and how that affected you and your health. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, high LP little a impacts my family in many ways. So as a spouse, my husband had his first cardiac event in his early 40s. We didn't understand about it. We didn't know why it was happening. It was aggressive and we wanted it to stop. And then as a mom, I lost my 23-year-old daughter, Catherine, to a heart attack. And dealing with the fact I couldn't help her, I just didn't know. And then after Catherine passed, I was tested and found out that I have high LP little a as well. And so there's a whole host of emotions that go along with that diagnosis and learning to navigate through the system. So we deal with it every day in almost every way.
Oh my gosh, that is awful. And I know a little bit about it because some of my family members have high lipoprotein little a. Dr. Ferdinand, can you talk about what levels are considered dangerous with high lipoprotein little a and who should be screened for this?
Well, first of all, everyone should be screened. It's actually quite common. High LP little a is found in about 1 out of 5 or 20% of the population. Now, it depends on how the lab reports, but usually it's 125 if nanomoles and 50 if milligrams. That's a little detailed. But if you have a family history of having a heart attack, stroke that's premature, 40s, 50s, or even in the early 60s, then you may have high LP little a, which increases your risk for heart attacks and strokes. So the short answer is everyone should be checked.
Okay, and what's considered high, doctor? Like if you were to get a test, what's the elevated risk?
Well, as I mentioned, there are 2 ways it can be measured. In nanomoles, it's 125. In milligrams, it's 50. So you really need to have your clinician, your physician or nurse practitioner, help you to interpret the results of the test. You can get a test for free from the Family Heart Foundation to cholesterolconnect.org. And when you get that information, you should share it with your clinician.
Okay, and Susan, tell me about what you're doing about, overall health, and what would you like to say to others who perhaps, do a blood test, they realize that they also have high lipoprotein little a?
Yeah. So the first thing you should do is find a community who understands the disease and the impacts to your life. I found that through Family Heart Foundation, where I learned that there were things that I could do today to reduce my risk. I learned to advocate for myself and for others. They taught me how to ask the right questions and find the right doctors. And so I think everyone should do that. If you do have high Lp(a), find a community that can support you in that way.
Okay, thank you, Susan. And Dr. Ferdinand, if we have high Lp(a), what can we do to reduce our risk of heart disease and stroke?
Well, there's no FDA-approved treatment today for high Lp(a), and there's research that's ongoing. But what it tells you, if your high Lp(a) is found, that you then can target those conventional risk factors, lower the LDL cholesterol, control blood pressure if you have hypertension, decrease your glucose if you have sugar, increase physical activity, and of course, no one should smoke. So having a high Lp(a) will tell you that you need to target those conventional risk factors, but it also will tell you that you can check your family members, especially first-degree relatives, mother, father, sister, brother, and children, because since it's genetic, they may also have high Lp(a).
A fascinating discussion, and certainly more needs to be done. Where can we get information online if someone's interested in learning more about Lp(a)?
The Family Heart Foundation is a nonprofit. It's a wonderful source of information, as Susan has mentioned. And you can really get a free test at cholesterolconnect.org from the Family Heart Foundation. They'll mail a kit to you. And then you can discuss those results with your clinician, whether it be a physician or nurse practitioner.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Let's bring in our friend at Overton Park Shell, Shelby Smith, joining us now to talk about the Overton Park Shell, in particular, Overton Park Shell, I guess it's called Shell on Wheels. And if anyone's ever seen Shell on Wheels, they know how fantastic that stage is and how much you go in different parts of the community. So I know, based upon what you were telling me earlier, Shelby, you have an ambitious schedule. Good morning.
Ambitious is the best word to put it, for sure. Even though our historic music venue, the Orion Financial Free Concert Series, kind of wrapped up over this past weekend, Shell on Wheels is very much so on the road, and we're hitting heavy things starting this Wednesday, actually. We'll be celebrating the 4th of July at Liberty Park for Liberty for All Festival. And then just throughout the month of July in general, it is a jam-packed schedule. I'm talking, we're hosting 2 MSCS block parties. We're partnering with the Memphis Slim House and Memphis River Parks partnership to host Solon on the River again. We will be doing Asian Night Market again. In addition to that, we will be also doing the Laser Live series over at Mosh, otherwise known as the former Pink Palace. So, like I said, jam-packed, very ambitious, but very exciting things over here.
That sounds great. So this is going to be something that we're going to see over the course of the next month, 2 months. How's that work?
The next month is going to be jam-packed with everything that I just mentioned, but don't worry, we're still hitting the road, continuing in August and September and October. We pretty much are able to hit the road throughout the season, weather pending, kind of similar to our historic music venue. We want to protect our patrons. We want to protect our equipment and our sound engineers, making sure that everybody is safe and ready to have a great time. But we're not slowing down anytime soon.
That sounds great. I love it. So first off, before we get to the schedule of events where people can find it, tell me about this past weekend, because I know that Stax Music Academy and so many talented musicians and artists that were there. Unfortunately, the weather played a part, so tell me what you guys were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually one of your very own has been so wonderful at guiding us throughout all of the inclement weather that we've been hit with this season. Ron Childers, fantastic man, in the game for a while. In addition to our partnership with the National Weather Service of Memphis, we're just really grateful that they have been able to walk alongside us as we work to pivot and prioritize the safety of our patrons and our staff. Just because you never know when rain is going to hit, we try our best to make the right call, and we have been lucky to make some amazing calls this season with those partnerships. So definitely want to make sure to give them their shout outs. But Stax Music Academy, we're definitely not willing to lose that show. It's such a showcase of young talent and just the legacy of our Stax artists and the history of Stax Records just in general. So, even though we had to lose it this season, which is a bummer because we always love capping off our summer season with that concert showcase, people, don't worry. We are coming back in action. You kind of got a little bit of a sneak peek for our fall season, because Stax Music Academy will actually be starting off the fall season, which the lineup for that goes live 1 week from today.
Fantastic. And when exactly is that? August what?
August the 23rd is when Stax Music Academy will be kicking off the Orion Financial Free Concert Series for the fall.
Fantastic. Okay, so where can people go if they want to see the Shell on Wheels schedule and everything else you guys got going on? Because as I said, and as you were saying, very ambitious.
Yes, absolutely. We're not afraid to take on too many things. Nothing's too much when we're bringing people together to experience music and community in the city of Memphis. But people can get all that information at overtonparkshell.org or overtonparkshell.org/Shell on Wheels for that information specifically.
Perfect. Okay. Shelby Smith, we always appreciate you keeping us up to date on what you guys are doing, not only at the Overton Park Shell, but around town with Overton Park Shell on Wheels. Shelby, thank you.
See you guys soon.
Okay. We'll see you. Another live look from our High Five camera here as we go to break. Already warming up, 78 degrees at 8:51. Let's talk about our forecast, including the Independence holiday weekend, in 60 seconds.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 digital desk here on a Monday morning, which is featuring a warm-up for us. But I want to take you to the tropics first, because actually the tropics is part of our forecast, at least in the short term. First off, we'll talk about this area here. This is an area of low pressure that's developing in the northeastern Gulf, working its way across Florida. It has a low chance of development along a stalled out frontal boundary across north central Florida that could have some issues eventually that will impact parts of the upcoming holiday weekend. Farther down to the south, a remnant low now of Barry, which was a tropical storm that was coming out of the Bay of Campeche, working its way into Mexico yesterday. But that moisture that's associated with the remnants of Barry have to go somewhere. And of course, you see the moisture in association with that one low that I was just talking about in northeastern Gulf, and then another batch of moisture that's coming out of the Bay of Campeche, coming right up the eastern shores of seaboard of Mexico. And of course, coming right up into Texas and curling back around, and there's a front that's looming to the north and west. So some of this moisture is coming northward in our direction, of course, helping to facilitate a couple of things here across the Mid-South. Of course, stay up to date with the very latest anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Interactive radar as well as severe weather alerts right there in the palm of your hand. Rain could be part of the story, at least one part of the story as we go through the course of the day. Temperatures getting in the low 90s, a scattering and smattering of showers and thunderstorms developing, and that comes by way again of that approaching front and the increase in moisture that's coming up out of the Gulf. You also tap into a fair amount of heat and humidity combination. Feels like temperatures today up around 105. Heat advisories are in effect for many sections of the area, including Memphis and Shelby County. Of course, a level 1 out of 5 risk in play for severe weather here today. I think the main time frame after about 2-3 o'clock this afternoon that will roll us into the evening hours, and that comes by way of this approaching front. Here's a look at our First Alert Futurecast, starting off with some clouds here this morning. I think we get a decent amount of sunshine still mixing in. A little bit more in the way of cloudiness across our easternmost communities may keep the temperatures a couple degrees cooler there. Approaching front will kick off scattered showers and thunderstorms as we head through the early evening hours. I think there will be a big pulse in activity, at least for a couple of hours here as we head through the early evening, early overnight period as the front works its way down towards the south. But this isn't the main front. The front's still looming to the north and west of us at this point. At 7 a.m. on Tuesday, still some lingering showers across. I still think that there's some spotty activity that we'll have to tangle with as we head towards your Tuesday before the front actually swings southward and eventually clears the board. And we'll have some fog early on Wednesday morning and drier air filtering in behind that. I think we end up with a pretty beautiful day coming up on Wednesday with temperatures on the rebound back up through the upper 80s and low 90s. And here's your drop in humidity. Again, spiking up between today and tomorrow. And then here's the downward trend that takes us into the middle and latter portion of the week. A couple things that will come along with this as well. As we lose the humidity, we'll heat things up. So actual air temperatures start to go up in a big way. See the ridge of high pressure, the heat dome, it starts to return by the middle and latter portion of the week, of course, anchoring itself across portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas. We're going to be on the eastern flank of it. I think we're still going to be kind of on edge enough, or in a strong enough portion of the ridge where we don't have anything backfilling in. We start to see disturbances coming down the backside of it, but we'll be watching it closely, because that's something that could very well happen as the ridge kind of contracts and expands here in the next couple of days. Of course, high pressure sinking air compresses, warms up, and that's what you're going to see in your extended forecast is a big warm up. And remember, drier air warms more efficiently. So as we drop the humidity levels, the temperature is going to heat up pretty quickly. So it's not going to be like we drop and nothing happens. I mean, this is going to rebound pretty quickly. So we'll have some scattered showers and storms again this afternoon across the Mid-South. I think that continues into the overnight period, but the rain chance is 60%, 30-40% rain chances going into your Tuesday. Otherwise, variably cloudy skies. I think we're partly cloudy on Wednesday, a high near 90, 92 coming up on Thursday as that ridge starts to build on top of us. That sets us up for all of the events that are happening on July 3rd. I know a lot of people are like, why are things happening on July 3rd? That's just how things are. Liberty for All, one of those things happening over at Liberty Park. City Bartlett's having their fireworks display also on July 3rd. And I think the weather's going to cooperate with you. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures near 90 by 5 o'clock, dropping off to the low 80s by 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, 4th of July itself and the return of the fireworks down at the riverfront. Super excited about that. I think we're in good shape there, too. It's going to be a little hotter, though, on 4th of July, up to 93 by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, not a lot of wind to blow this stuff around. And guess what? As we get underneath that core of the ridge, we stay pretty hot all the way through the upcoming weekend. We add in a couple of extra degrees, 96s, both on Saturday and Sunday. Chances for rain will be pretty slim, but you might catch a quick downpour in 1 or 2 instances. We'll keep the chances for rain at a minimum through early next week, but we start to buckle the ridge and eventually leads up to better chances for showers and storms as we head towards the middle portion of next week.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. You may recall that there was a massive data breach not too long ago. It exposed millions of patient records online. We're talking to the tune of about 8 million patient records. And again, sensitive information being released out there on the internet. It's just another example of these data breaches that keep on happening from time to time. So how do we protect our identity, our cyber security? How do we make it as safe as possible? Joining me now to talk about that is Christopher Wright. He's a veteran cybersecurity expert. Joining us on the Digital Desk. Chris, tell us a little bit about your background first and foremost, and a little bit about this data breach that some people may remember, some people may not. Good morning.
Good morning. So I've been in cybersecurity for about 2 decades now, starting in the United States Air Force, working with the federal government a little bit, and moving on to commercial entities. And apologies for the background being backwards there. But working in the commercial space and financial technology as well, and for about the last 9 years working with small businesses such as healthcare and dentists and things like that. From what we see of this, the breach, it was an openly available database that housed about 8 million total records, about 2.7 of those actually being personally identifiable information on dental patients.
Dental patients. Okay, so so there's all kinds of records out there, and of course, dental records include many people's, their names, their birth date, their social security numbers, maybe some credit card numbers as well. What do you know in terms of how what I just mentioned? How much is exposed out there?
So yeah, when we say personally identifiable information, we're talking about a lot of that. We're talking about name, phone number, address, social security in some cases, anything that dental practice would need to file that claim for that patient, and anything that dental practice felt like they needed to store for caring for that patient, or just kind of what somebody thought they needed to store on an individual who was a patient there. So often that's a lot more than's really needed. We tend to hoard data and try to collect as much as possible, thinking it might come in handy one day, but it doesn't always, and usually opens you up to some danger, like in this case.
Okay, so so we've established what this breach was, and what's out there. How do we protect ourselves?
So one of the things that I like to tell people is be careful what you submit. In the first case, look on those forms that you're providing to that healthcare provider, whether they're dental, whether they're any other kind of healthcare, or really anything out there. They're going to ask you for a lot of information. A lot of times you can look on that online form or on a paper form, and there'll be something denoting if that is required for them. So you can kind of start there, and don't divulge a lot of information that's not required, that you look at and go, why would this provider or why would this organization need that type of information? Second, I would look at that information, and if you do look at one of those fields that's marked required and you don't think it should be required, question that. That may not really be required, and especially if you're filling out a paper form, there's nothing stopping you from not putting that on there. A lot of times the online forms will not advance to the next screen if you don't enter the required field, but there are ways around that as well. But the best thing you can do is question that. Don't just assume. So go back to that provider and say, why do you need my birthday? In some cases. And finally, we kind of overshare a lot of things anyway. So kind of expand that to your whole life. We want to put everything about ourselves on social media. We want to kind of fill that out and put everything about ourselves out there. But really, that's a treasure trove for people trying to steal your identity or impersonate you in some way, shape, or form. And then I guess one other thing I'd want to add on there too is when you are going to a healthcare provider or some type of provider, not necessarily healthcare too, but look through those forms. Read what you're signing. A lot of people, we're in a hurry. We don't want to read what we're signing. We don't see what we're signing up for. And unfortunately, that gets us into trouble sometimes. In the healthcare world, for marketing in the terms of protected health information and HIPAA privacy, marketing is an opt-in, opt-out type set of data or use case for healthcare data. It's a little bit of a fuzzy line between what's allowed and then what you have to have an opt-in from the patient for. But read through those forms and seeing if you are, somehow opting in. That could be, a long form that you just sign at the end, and there could be one statement in there that says, I opt into marketing. And you want to be careful that you're not signing up for something that you don't want. And in this case, it seems like the firm that was breached was a marketing firm for dentists. So there's a good chance there is an opt-in, opt-out form in that stack of papers that each of these patients signed.
What about companies like LifeLock or VPN? Like people who offer added security? Do you think that it would be a benefit in this case? And I mean, is it worth the cost?
A lot of times, the VPN companies, that's kind of a different threat than this. But the companies like LifeLock, what they do is they provide visibility to that, so you can see when things are being used. I personally don't use any of those companies, and it's been a long time since I've been in a breach that I've actually taken them up on that, just because I tend to dial down a lot of my online usage of things like this, and I try to practice what I preach and divulging as little information as possible. Signing up for as few things as possible and making sure my information is out there as little as possible. That's very difficult, and a lot of people, it's going to be a hard change in their life to do that. But what those providers give is kind of visibility into that at the very least. Sometimes they do have some blocking mechanisms, but in actuality, they typically try to err on the side of caution, so they're not going to go out there and block everything, because that pretty much prevents you from using credit cards and signing up for home loans and buying cars and stuff like that. So they don't want to impede on your life, which is, in a lot of cases, that would prevent a lot of this fraud from going on, but it would also prevent you from just living a normal life.
Anything else we can touch on, Chris, that you haven't touched on with regards to just overall protecting yourself online, cybersecurity, that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could spend an entire day talking about that. But generally, kind of the top things that I'll hit on is make sure you're updating your software on your phones, on your tablets, on your laptops, on your computers, wherever you have it. That's within your kind of personal scope of responsibility. Make sure you're updating those on the regular. Don't just kind of bypass that update notification over and over and over. A lot of flaws, a lot of things that attackers will take advantage of are in these recent patches. So if you apply those recent patches, you're going to reduce your risk significantly. Second, make sure you're using multi-factor authentication on your online accounts and use, excuse me, and when you're using multi-factor authentication, if nothing else is available, use those SMS text messages. But if there's anything else, like an app, like a Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator or Authy, make sure you're using that instead of those SMS text messages. Our phone system is not terribly secure. The FBI just kind of tacitly admitted that, recommending that everyone use encrypted apps like Signal. But you want to make sure that you're protected in that case. So using those apps ramps up that protection there. Make sure that's turned on everywhere possible. For everything else, make sure you're not reusing passwords. Password reuse is kind of the other big brute force account takeover method. So use a fresh, new, long, and strong password for each account. And I know many of your viewers will be kind of scared when I say that, but there are helper apps out there called password managers that can help you store those passwords, create those very long and strong passwords that are unique for every online service you use, and you can sync those between your phone and between your computer, so you don't really have to worry about remembering those passwords anymore.
All right, Chris Wright with some great ideas, suggestions, and ways to protect your identity online, especially after this massive security breach. We appreciate your time on the Digital Desk. Very helpful advice for the thousands of people who watch each and every day. Thank you.
Yep, happy to help, Andrew.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I want to tell you about a free Summer Bridge Academy for Memphis middle and high school students. This is going to be a 3-week-long program where kids, middle and high school kids, can brush up and boost their academic skills, their confidence. Again, this is for rising 8th, 9th, and 10th graders in the city of Memphis. I want to bring in someone that is a part of the organization doing this. I'm joined now by Courtney Richardson. He is with the Peer Power Foundation to talk about this Bridge Summer Camp. And Courtney, good morning to you. Tell me about the program and how it's going to work.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having us on this morning. So we have a Summer Bridge program, and it's to do exactly what the name says. In the summertime, it is important for students to have an academic bridge from the end of school year to the beginning of the school year. And so we're deploying our college students who are success coaches to create a fun learning environment for young people who are uprising 8th through 10th grade students, so that when they get to the classroom, here's what I told the team. When they get to their class the first week of school, we want their teachers to say, what did you do this summer? Because you are on par, or you are mastering the content that you need to master for your grade level.
That sounds great. I love that idea. And I know there's going to be a lot of parents and teachers that love the idea as well. So how does someone get set up and sign up for this program? Where is it? All those details.
So the program is going to be at Mace High School on Poplar Avenue. We want to give a shout out to that executive director over there, Mr. Gaston, for hosting this camp. And to sign up, families and students can go to peerpowerfoundation.org. Notice I said parents and students, parents and families, because sometimes it is the students who say, I am going to Peer Power's camp. Because what we like to say is, hey, if the students don't enjoy it, or if the students don't advertise for it, and they are the target audience, then we need to do some work. But we always have students who are interested. So you can go to peerpowerfoundation.org to sign up, or any of our social media sites and sign up as well.
Okay, so take me through. Is this the first year? Take me through like what it's going to be like. It's Monday through Thursday, I understand, and it's from 9 to 3. Is it just like class? Is it something different? Explain.
So it's going to be Monday through Thursday. We're going to have level 4 and level 5 teachers providing instruction. And our highly trained and highly skilled success coaches, which are college students, are going to be there to help support or fill in the gap for those students who may need a little extra support. But this is also going to be filled with project-based learning. Our partners over at University Schools Innovative School District is a project-based learning school, and that is a practice that allows for students to do projects that are aligned with content, with curriculum, and with standards. So students are going to come away with some projects, and it's going to be fun, which is a part of Peer Power's model. You have our college students who are close in age with them, who are providing a fun learning environment. In fact, our college students are working in the month of June to create lessons and to create activities that would allow for students not just to sit in classroom and have boring lessons, but to have engaging lessons that would help them move academically. And so it's going to be fun. There will be some field trips. There are going to be incentives as well. There will also be other high school students who will be providing some support to their peers as well, which is why we are Peer Power. We believe in the power of the peer, not just the pressure that peers create. We believe that peers have the power to help peers succeed.
So this is going to be Monday through Thursday, July 7th it begins. This is right after the 4th of July weekend, July 7th through the 24th at MACE, the Memphis Academy of Science and Engineering. I understand registration closed later this month. Again, give us the details so people can sign up. We know it's already free, but give us the details again so people know where to sign up.
Okay, so registration will close later at the end of the month if it lasts that long. We are seeing much interest in this camp. But you can go to peerpowerfoundation.org to sign up for your student, or you can sign up to be a part of our Summer Bridge program. That's Monday through Thursday. It's going to be happening at Mace High School there on Poplar Avenue. And we look forward to serving you. If you have any questions, you can email programs@peerpowerfoundation.org, and one of my amazing team members will get with you to give you details that you need.
Courtney, one more thing. How many people are you expecting? How many students are you expecting this year?
So we are expecting about 125 students to be a part of this amazing opportunity. And from my understanding, we're well over halfway there. And that number is growing.
Okay, Courtney Richardson, the Peer Power Foundation, talking about a free Summer Bridge Academy for Memphis middle and high school students next month. Registration closes on Friday, June 27th. We appreciate your time, Courtney. Thank you for all that you're doing to help out the students this
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 digital desk here on a Monday morning, which is featuring a warm-up for us. But I want to take you to the tropics first, because actually the tropics is part of our forecast, at least in the short term. First off, we'll talk about this area here. This is an area of low pressure that's developing in the northeastern Gulf, working its way across Florida. It has a low chance of development along a stalled out frontal boundary across north central Florida that could have some issues eventually that will impact parts of the upcoming holiday weekend. Farther down to the south, a remnant low now of Barry, which was a tropical storm that was coming out of the Bay of Campeche, working its way into Mexico yesterday. But that moisture that's associated with the remnants of Barry have to go somewhere. And of course, you see the moisture in association with that one low that I was just talking about in the northeastern Gulf, and then another batch of moisture that's coming out of the Bay of Campeche, coming right up the eastern shores of seaboard of Mexico, and of course coming right up into Texas and curling back around, and there's a front that's looming to the north and west. So some of this moisture is coming northward in our direction, of course helping to facilitate a couple of things here across the Mid-South. Of course, stay up to date with the very latest anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Interactive radar as well as severe weather alerts right there in the palm of your hand. Rain could be part of the story, at least one part of the story as we go through the course of the day. Temperatures getting in the low 90s, a scattering and smattering of showers and thunderstorms developing, and that comes by way again of that approaching front and the increase in moisture that's coming up out of the Gulf. You also tap into a fair amount of heat and humidity combination. Feels like temperatures today up around 105. Heat advisories are in effect for many sections of the area, including Memphis and Shelby County. Of course, a level 1 out of 5 risk in play for severe weather here today. I think the main time frame after about 2-3 o'clock this afternoon that will roll us into the evening hours, and that comes by way of this approaching front. Here's a look at our First Alert Futurecast, starting off with some clouds here this morning. I think we get a decent amount of sunshine still mixing in. A little bit more in the way of cloudiness across our easternmost communities may keep the temperatures a couple of degrees cooler there. Approaching front will kick off scattered showers and thunderstorms as we head through the early evening hours. I think there will be a big pulse in activity, at least for a couple of hours here as we head through the early evening, early overnight period as the front works its way down towards the south. But this isn't the main front. The front's still looming to the north and west of us at this point. At 7 a.m. on Tuesday, still some lingering showers across. I still think that there's some spotty activity that we'll have to tangle with as we head towards your Tuesday before the front actually swings southward and eventually clears the board. And we'll have some fog early on Wednesday morning and drier air filtering in behind that. I think we end up with a pretty beautiful day coming up on Wednesday with temperatures on the rebound back up through the upper 80s and low 90s. And here's your drop in humidity. Again, spiking up between today and tomorrow. And then here's the downward trend that takes us into the middle and latter portion of the week. A couple things that will come along with this as well. As we lose the humidity, we'll heat things up. So actual air temperatures start to go up in a big way. See the ridge of high pressure, the heat dome, it starts to return by the middle and latter portion of the week, of course, anchoring itself across portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas. We're going to be on the eastern flank of it. I think we're still going to be kind of on edge enough, or in a strong enough portion of the ridge where we don't have anything backfilling in. We start to see disturbances coming down the backside of it, but we'll be watching it closely, because that's something that could very well happen as the ridge kind of contracts and expands here in the next couple of days. Of course, high pressure sinking air compresses, warms up, and that's what you're going to see in your extended forecast is a big warm up. And remember, drier air warms more efficiently. So as we drop the humidity levels, the temperature is going to heat up pretty quickly. So it's not going to be like we drop and nothing happens. I mean, this is going to rebound pretty quickly. So we'll have some scattered showers and storms again this afternoon across the Mid-South. I think that continues into the overnight period, but the rain chance is 60%, 30-40% rain chances going into your Tuesday. Otherwise, variably cloudy skies. I think we're partly cloudy on Wednesday, a high near 90, 92 coming up on Thursday as that ridge starts to build on top of us. That sets us up for all of the events that are happening on July 3rd. I know a lot of people are like, why are things happening on July 3rd? That's just how things are. Liberty for All, one of those things happening over at Liberty Park. City Bartlett's having their fireworks display also on July 3rd. And I think the weather's going to cooperate with you. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures near 90 by 5 o'clock, dropping off to the low 80s by 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, 4th of July itself and the return of the fireworks down at the riverfront. Super excited about that. I think we're in good shape there, too. It's going to be a little hotter, though, on 4th of July, up to 93 by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, not a lot of wind to blow this stuff around. And guess what? As we get underneath that core of the ridge, we stay pretty hot all the way through the upcoming weekend. We add in a couple of extra degrees, 96s, both on Saturday and Sunday. Chances for rain will be pretty slim, but you might catch a quick downpour in 1 or 2 instances. We'll keep the chances for rain at a minimum through early next week, but we start to buckle the ridge and eventually leads up to better chances for showers and storms as we head towards the middle portion of next week.
Action News 5 digital desk. There is a new exhibit at the Children's Museum of Memphis. I remember when my kids were young, we always used to go to the Children's Museum of Memphis. It's so great. It's so wonderful for them. Just get totally immersed in whatever section and whatever area, whatever play area they can get into. This one is really interesting because kids are going to be able to have this kind of immersive experience with an ocean exhibit. It's called Ocean and Me, and joining me now on the Action News 5 digital desk, the CEO of the Children's Museum of Memphis, also a developmental psychologist, Dr. Stuart Burgess, on the Action News 5 digital desk. So tell me a little bit about Ocean and Me, Stuart. Good morning.
Good morning. Ocean and Me is super exciting. I love that you use the word immersive because it's designed to be just that. All of the play and learning that goes on in Ocean and Me is designed to happen as if you were under the sea. It really focuses a lot on celebrating reading and making reading particularly interesting and a focal point of the experience. Also problem solving. There's some math slid in there tied to treasure and jewels on the bottom of the ocean floor to make it really fun and exciting. And then there are all things ocean, wacky ocean facts of all kinds that even make adults go, "Are you serious? I can't believe that." And that's all designed to make it so that kids and their adults share the sort of, oh, wow, experience of learning in a meaningful, immersive, and interesting context.
That sounds amazing, Stuart. It really sounds good. Tell me what age it caters to. I know that there are all kinds of ages that go to the Children's Museum. What age is this exhibit specifically catered to?
So this one really probably works well for anybody from about 4 to 12 or so. But younger kids will enjoy the immersive quality of it. The lights are down low, and there's uplighting to make it look a little oceany inside. There are lots of fun things that you can do that are pretty straightforward, so you don't have to be a reader to be able to enjoy this. The other piece is in the reading scenarios, the setups that we have, including a giant undersea dome where you have plastic bubble chairs that adults and children sit in together. It can be that the adult is reading a story to the child. It doesn't have to be the child who's reading. And so there's pretty wide range, actually.
Fantastic. Okay. So this exhibit, I understand, goes through the month of August. And we're talking about all kinds of different things because I'm reading about it and I see that it has like puffer fish. You have a sunken ship there, submersible, a fish wall. What is the most popular, because it's been open now for a few days, what's been the most popular area that you've seen kids really enjoy?
They go all over it. So they really kind of pinball machine all the different parts, which is our intention, to make each of the learning and playful space vignettes to really attract kids. They love to rearrange all of these fish on Velcro walls into schools of fish and to learn about which kinds of fish group together in schools and which don't and all of that. We think there are a couple new pieces this year. There's a really cool Find the Treasure challenge, which we think that kids are going to really gravitate toward, and I'm looking forward to watching that.
Absolutely, Stuart. Thank you. Anything else you want to mention about this? I mean, how can people see it? How much does it cost to get into the exhibit? If you're a member, non-member, that sort of thing.
Sure. This is no additional charge. So after you pay your entrance fee, or if you're already a member, this is just part of the experience that we add to sort of the return on investment that you get for paying a little bit of money to make sure your kids are having a great time learning. It's about 3,000 square feet, and it's also the ocean theme and bringing down the lights and a nice air-conditioned space. is a nice complement or counterpoint to some of the outdoor play on our splash pad during the summer. So that's super exciting. And if reading is also a big ticket item on your list for summer, which it always should be for children of all ages, then we've also got a brand new reading challenge program called Level Up that kids and parents and grandparents are being really excited about.
Fantastic. And I know that if museum members get in for free, non-members, it's $18 to enter. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay, Dr. Stuart Burgess with Children's Museum of Memphis. Thanks for coming on the Digital Desk and telling us about that latest display, that latest exhibit, Ocean and Me. Sounds fantastic for all the kids this summer. We appreciate your time. Thanks for all you do at the museum, too.
You're welcome.
All right. Maureen, good morning. Cannot hear you, but I'm doing well. I can read lips. Need to unmute you.
All right, that's an easy. Can you hear me now?
Fantastic. Maureen Frazier back on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I love it.
It's been a while. How are you?
I'm doing well. We got 30 seconds, and I'll talk to you in a second, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We always love checking in with our friends from all across Memphis and the Mid-South. One of our friends is the mayor of Collierville. We got Maureen Frazier on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Maureen, it's been a while. How have you been?
I've been great. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So we got a momentous week here, a lot of different celebrations all across the Mid-South. Tell me about what Collierville's doing to celebrate the Independence Day holiday.
We are celebrating big on Thursday. We have our event scheduled for July the 3rd for several reasons. One being with our budget, we can get a lot more fireworks if we set those off on the 3rd. Just because of competition. And also we like for our employees to try to spend time on the 4th with their families. So not all employees, of course, we have the essentials that have to work, our police and fire. However, the majority of the employees that allows them to take the 4th as a day off with their families. So on the 3rd, the food trucks will open. It's at Cox Park, which is right off of Powell Road. And the food trucks will open at 6 o'clock. And at 7 o'clock, the entertainment will begin. We have two bands. One is a couple of young ladies called American Blonde, and they say they are country with an edge. I'm not sure what that is, but it's country. And then the Soul Shockers will come on a little bit later, and the fireworks will go off at 9:30 p.m. And I hear the weather is supposed to be perfect.
Yes, not rain in the forecast, but it's going to be warm. But hey, it's the summertime in the Mid-South. We're okay with that, right?
Supposed to be warm. Yeah, it's supposed to be warm on the holiday.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's fantastic. That's coming up Thursday, July 3rd. Tell us some other things, news and notes happening in the town of Collierville.
Well, we have we have an exciting new development map that was just released last week, and I was privileged to be on the committee that worked on that. And if you go to the town website, colliervilletn.gov, there is a link to a development map. And, we get a lot of questions. A lot of people want to know what's going on here or what's being built there. And so this is a way that anyone and everyone can have quick access to that information. And two of the newest, there's two coffee shops that are in the works. One's a little bit further along than others, and that is the Dutch Brothers Coffee. That's going to be on Poplar Avenue. They put their sign up. I think we don't have a targeted opening date, but it looks like it's probably at least a month away. And then 7 Brew Coffee is starting the process. And you can see both of those on the development map gallery. And there was a group of volunteers that worked with our GIS professional. and our planning staff to make this maps a lot easier for people. They can see the history, they can know when it was approved, why it was approved, minutes to meetings, colors, swatches, a whole lot of information. So hopefully everyone out there will go to that site and use it. I know I'm on that link at least 2 to 3 times a day.
Fantastic. Once again, colliervilletn.gov. Is that right?
That is correct, yes. And then you'll see the link to the development map gallery.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So what else? Anything else before we let you go, Maureen?
Well, Maeve's Tavern, which is part of the Brazen Restaurant Group, the Bog and Barley Group, are working on, they had a soft opening this weekend. So they should be having their grand opening here pretty soon. So I know a lot of people are excited and looking for that on our historic town square.
I'm not going to lie, I was at the soft opening on Saturday. A lot of fun, certainly. And yes, if people are inclined to enjoy Celtic Crossing, Bog and Barley, I think they'll really enjoy Maeve as well. So yeah, that's a great addition.
Unfortunately, I missed the opening this weekend, but I'm going as soon as I can.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, any final thing? You know, we have thousands of people that join us each and every morning here on the Digital Desk. Maureen, anything else you want to say?
Just that Collierville is a great place to be. We still have our summer concert series, are taking a break this week because of the holiday, but they'll pick up again next Thursday night, and it's free, and everyone is invited to come to the Collierville Historic Town Square.
Perfect. Okay, and don't forget colliervilletn.org if you want to check out that development map. Mayor Maureen Fraser joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Thanks again for making time for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care, Andrew.
Okay, you do the same. Thank you. Another live look from our High Five camera. Gorgeous day ahead. Look at that. Downtown off in the distance. Already 81 degrees. We're going to be talking about your forecast and other things in 1 minute. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Got a developing situation here that we are getting from the Memphis Police Department. They are investigating a shooting that left one man critically injured. This happened on Sunday night just before 10 o'clock. Officers responded to a shooting at Wings and Things. That's on Lamar Avenue. And when officers arrived, they said that they discovered a man had been shot lying on the ground right outside of this business. So then, according to the Memphis Police Department, officers spoke with a witness who informed them that she saw the victim drop to the ground after several shots had been fired during some sort of drive-by outside the restaurant. The man was rushed then to the hospital in critical condition. No other information about a suspect at this time, but Memphis police investigating this drive-by outside the Wings and Things on Lamar Avenue. Another developing story that I want to tell you about this morning here. The Memphis Police Department searching for these two young children here. They are searching for them because, according to Memphis police, they were taken without their custodial parents' permission. Now, investigators say Malcolm Barnes Jr., 12 years old, and 19-month-old Bella McCoy, both were reported missing from their home on Lamar Avenue yesterday. This is Sunday. Malcolm and Bella left with Cameron McCoy and Malcolm Barnes Sr., according to Memphis police, and they're possibly en route to North Carolina, again, without the mother's permission. No information on a vehicle is available at this time. You can see Malcolm there. He's 4 foot, 80 pounds, last seen wearing a white SpongeBob t-shirt and black pants. If you've seen them, perhaps you have any information, no matter how small, please contact the Memphis Police Department or Crime Stoppers. You can do so anonymously. You can also text them at 901-528-CASH and be eligible for a reward. Again, they are looking for this 12-year-old Malcolm Barnes Jr. and 19-month-old Bella McCoy right now.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 digital desk here on a Monday morning, which is featuring a warm-up for us. But I want to take you to the tropics first, because actually the tropics is part of our forecast, at least in the short term. First off, we'll talk about this area here. This is an area of low pressure that's developing in the northeastern Gulf, working its way across Florida. It has a low chance of development along a stalled out frontal boundary across north central Florida that could have some issues eventually that will impact parts of the upcoming holiday weekend. Farther down to the south, a remnant low now of Barry, which was a tropical storm that was coming out of the Bay of Campeche, working its way into Mexico yesterday. But that moisture that's associated with the remnants of Barry have to go somewhere. And of course, you see the moisture in association with that one low that I was just talking about in the northeastern Gulf, and then another batch of moisture that's coming out of the Bay of Campeche, coming right up the eastern shores of seaboard of Mexico. And of course, coming right up into Texas and curling back around, and there's a front that's looming to the north and west. So some of this moisture is coming northward in our direction, of course, helping to facilitate a couple of things here across the Mid-South. Of course, stay up to date with the very latest anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Interactive radar as well as severe weather alerts right there in the palm of your hand. Rain could be part of the story, at least one part of the story as we go through the course of the day. Temperatures getting in the low 90s, a scattering and smattering of showers and thunderstorms developing, and that comes by way again of that approaching front and the increase in moisture that's coming up out of the Gulf. You also tap into a fair amount of heat and humidity combination. Feels like temperatures today up around 105. Heat advisories in effect for many sections of the area, including Memphis and Shelby County. Of course, a level 1 out of 5 risk in play for severe weather here today. I think the main time frame after about 2-3 o'clock this afternoon that will roll us into the evening hours, and that comes by way of this approaching front. Here's a look at our First Alert Futurecast, starting off with some clouds here this morning. I think we get a decent amount of sunshine still mixing in. A little bit more in the way of cloudiness across our easternmost communities may keep the temperatures a couple of degrees cooler there. Approaching front will kick off scattered showers and thunderstorms as we head through the early evening hours. I think there will be a big pulse in activity, at least for a couple of hours here as we head through the early evening, early overnight period as the front works its way down towards the south. But this isn't the main front. The front's still looming to the north and west of us at this point. At 7 a.m. on Tuesday, still some lingering showers across. I still think that there's some spotty activity that we'll have to tangle with as we head towards your Tuesday before the front actually swings southward and eventually clears the board. And we'll have some fog early on Wednesday morning and drier air filtering in behind that. I think we end up with a pretty beautiful day coming up on Wednesday with temperatures on the rebound back up through the upper 80s and low 90s. And here's your drop in humidity. Again, spiking up between today and tomorrow. And then here's the downward trend that takes us into the middle and latter portion of the week. A couple things that will come along with this as well. As we lose the humidity, we'll heat things up. So actual air temperatures start to go up in a big way. See the ridge of high pressure, the heat dome, it starts to return by the middle and latter portion of the week, of course, anchoring itself across portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas. We're going to be on the eastern flank of it. I think we're still going to be kind of on edge enough, or in a strong enough portion of the ridge where we don't have anything backfilling in. We start to see disturbances coming down the backside of it, but we'll be watching it closely, because that's something that could very well happen as the ridge kind of contracts and expands here in the next couple of days. Of course, high pressure, sinking air compresses, warms up, and that's what you're going to see in your extended forecast is a big warm up. And remember, drier air warms more efficiently. So as we drop the humidity levels, the temperature is going to heat up pretty quickly. So it's not going to be like we drop and nothing happens. I mean, this is going to rebound pretty quickly. So we'll have some scattered showers and storms again this afternoon across the Mid-South. I think that continues continues into the overnight period, but the rain chance is 60%, 30-40% rain chances going into your Tuesday. Otherwise, variably cloudy skies. I think we're partly cloudy on Wednesday, a high near 90, 92 coming up on Thursday as that ridge starts to build on top of us. That sets us up for all of the events that are happening on July 3rd. I know a lot of people are like, why are things happening on July 3rd? That's just how things are. Liberty for All, one of those things happening over at Liberty Park. City Bartlett's having their fireworks display also on July 3rd. And I think the weather's going to cooperate with you. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures near 90 by 5 o'clock, dropping off to the low 80s by 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, 4th of July itself and the return of the fireworks down at the riverfront. Super excited about that. I think we're in good shape there, too. It's going to be a little hotter, though, on 4th of July, up to 93 by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, not a lot of wind to blow this stuff around. And guess what? As we get underneath that core of the ridge, we stay pretty hot all the way through the upcoming weekend. We add in a couple of extra degrees, 96s, both on Saturday and Sunday. Chances for rain will be pretty slim, but you might catch a quick downpour in 1 or 2 instances. We'll keep the chances for rain at a minimum through early next week, but we start to buckle the ridge and eventually leads up to better chances for showers and storms as we head towards the middle portion of next week.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I am joined on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by our friend at the Daily Memphian, Sam Hardiman. He covers government and politics for the Daily Memphian. You can read his great articles on dailymemphian.com. He's got 2 out right now that I want to talk to him about, both focused on XAI. One about XAI stockpiling lots of equipment at a vacant lot in South Haven, Mississippi, and another one about Elon Musk talking about XAI in Memphis and beyond. Sam, it's not a surprise that XAI is expanding, and that in your article really dives deep into some of that expansion, especially energy-wise. But what was interesting to me is this use of a vacant lot in South Haven, Mississippi. Tell me more. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me. So for the past probably 3-4 months, I've been taking drives a couple times a week, if not more, to South Haven, Mississippi to watch XAI. So XAI's second Memphis data center is at 5420 Tulane Road in Whitehaven. 5420 Tulane Road in Whitehaven could generously be described as close to Mississippi as you can get without being in Mississippi. It's a matter of a couple hundred yards. Tulane Road itself, turns into Mississippi before you even reach State Line Road in South Haven. So that's how close their second data center is to Mississippi. And so as I've been driving around there over the past several months, I've observed workers going to various sites in Mississippi from XAI. And one of those sites is a vacant lot on State Line Road that over the past probably 3 to 4 weeks has started to accumulate natural gas turbines. These turbines, last time I checked, were not running. They are just sitting there in this vacant lot along State Line Road. And if everyone remembers, I'm not sure they do, XAI and the Greater Memphis Chamber said some of the turbines that are at its Paul R. Lowry Road facility, which is out in Pigeon Industrial Park, right next to the Mississippi River, essentially, was going to be removing turbines. And those turbines that match what you've seen for months at Paul R. Lowry Road started to match the ones that showed up in the vacant lot. And then I went through some SEC filings, Securities and Exchange Commission filings, for a company called Solaris Energy Solutions, which is one of these suppliers of turbines. They don't manufacture turbines themselves. They lease them to people such as XAI who need temporary power solutions. And in those SEC filings, it showed that XAI and Solaris had formed a joint venture called State Line Power LLC. Interestingly enough, this slot is on State Line Road in Mississippi. Shocking coincidence, maybe not. And one of in the SEC documents is a loan agreement for procuring more power equipment. And part of that loan agreement says where the equipment should be delivered, and that equipment is this vacant lot in Mississippi. And so very clearly shows that XAI is accumulating power supply stuff, power equipment, generators, other things, maybe things that are used to cut emissions for turbines, because it needs to generate a significant amount of power, according to these SEC filings, for 5422 Lane Road, for its second data center right in Memphis, Tennessee.
What I also liked about your article, Sam, was the fact that you kind of highlight how much energy is being produced there and how much is needed in order to produce this artificial intelligence and one of the largest data centers in the world. So much energy that is needed to power all this and a second data center. Is that right?
XAI is using semiconductors, chips, graphics processing units, whatever you want to use the term for, but the technology that powers artificial intelligence, right, uses a tremendous amount of power. Okay, and XAI is going to be bringing on, Elon Musk said, and this is in the second article that we're talking about today, Elon Musk said last week that XAI is going to bring on 110,000 GB2100 NVIDIA chips online at Tulane Road, which is, for those of you who I just spoke, crazy words at, these NVIDIA chips, the GB200s, are among the most advanced artificial intelligence chips in the world. They're very expensive, somewhere between $3 to $7 billion is the cost of these 110,000 chips. And so that needs a lot of power. And the stockpile of power equipment that you see and you can see just on State Line Road in Mississippi is likely what's going to provide that power, at least in the short term.
Do we have a timetable on when the water recycling plant is expected to be built and go online? You mentioned, the $80 million plant is really, and we've talked about it, that it's really going to help bring down the usage of the Memphis aquifer.
Yeah, and so we don't have necessarily a timeline for when it would be built. I mean, it still needs to go through some public hearings this week. So this week there are going to be some informational public hearings hosted by first Protect Our Aquifer, but then next by the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, which is the entity that needs to give a permit. Essentially what it's giving is a permit for XAI to use the city of Memphis's wastewater, okay, for this water recycling facility. Those public meetings are this week. They're Wednesday and Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday, because Wednesday would be the 25th and the 26th would be Thursday. And so after that those public hearings, I think then we can start to maybe see TDEC actually finally give approval to this permit, and thus actually work can begin on constructing this plant.
Much has been talked about with regards to city and county taxes that are being contributed. And at the very end of one of your articles, you talk about how this company is going to be one of the largest contributors to the tax base.
Yeah, potentially. Absolutely could be. I mean, it is right now. Let's be clear about that. It is among the largest contributors to Memphis and Shelby County taxes. It did not receive a tax incentive when it came here. In the article, is noting these chips. These chips are very valuable pieces of equipment, okay? That is the personal property. That is what the company is going to be assessed at. That's what tax authorities in Memphis are going to be assessing them for, are these chips. And so the continued success of XAI, the article also mentions that XAI is trying to raise more money because it is not a profitable business right now. At least according to Bloomberg News, it is not a profitable business right now. It is trying to raise more money. And the success of XAI raising money to buy more equipment, to pave the way to operate for a few more years or months or however long it is before it starts turning a real profit and brings in significant revenue. That's going to matter quite a bit in terms of how much tax revenue it contributes over the long term to Memphis and Shelby County, Tennessee. And at the same time, the company is saying, because of the investments it's making, and Brent Mayo, the company executive, said this in April, and it sort of flew under the radar at the time, but the company has a pathway to contributing $100 million in combined Shelby County and Memphis property taxes per year. That's a tremendous amount of money, and that's really possible if it continues to invest in all these, state-of-the-art chips. If you keep building chip input data centers and keep putting chip after chip in them, that is really valuable equipment and could be super valuable to taxpayers. You just need to continue to be able to raise the money or receive the money in revenue in order to pay for those chips.
Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. The kids are out for school. You got summer season upon us, and why not take a trip somewhere? And one of the most affordable ways is perhaps going camping around your area, or maybe taking a road trip and going camping. It has become more popular than ever. In fact, 1 of 4 leisure trips out there now includes camping. Let's talk more about this idea of camping across our region and really across the country right now. I'm joined on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by Senior Vice President of Marketing for Kampgrounds of America, KOA, Diane Eichler, joining us on the Digital Desk to talk about camping. So, Diane, let's talk about this. It feels like a resurgence of camping out there across the country, but for me and my family, we've always enjoyed camping. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So tell me about this this popularity that we are seeing in camping all across the country.
Yeah, camping has always historically been a really great summer activity, but over the last 5 or 6 years, we have welcomed over 11 million new campers to camping. So we at KOA are super excited to open up our peak season and welcome all of our campers, old and new, out into the great outdoors again this year.
Yeah, so tell me more about it, because I saw this stat where it said 1 in 4 of those trips, people pick business or pleasure or leisure, and 1 of 4 of those leisure trips involve camping in some form or fashion. And we're talking about all kinds of camping, the RV type or the tents, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, camping has grown. We have a lot of different accommodations that we offer at KOA. And to your point, we've got so many different demographics that are coming out to camp. It can be retirees, it can be Gen Zs who are historically traveling with their larger friend groups. We've got millennial families who are bringing kiddos in tows. We welcome pets. 50% of our campers camp with pets. So we have a really great curated Camp Canine program that welcomes our furry family members as well. And we have accommodations for all types of campers. If you're traveling in an RV, we've got great pull-through sites that have hookups and patios. We've got opportunities for tent campers. We've got glamping opportunities, which is one of my favorite ways to camp with our deluxe cabin product. You can come in, pack a suitcase. You don't need a lot of gear, and walk into a cabin that has a couple of bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchenette, and it's like having a hotel room in the great outdoors. So lots of different types of campers and lots of different accommodations that are available for our campers out in our great KOA system.
That sounds great. I mean, you got all kinds of different types of camping, from the very serious, I would say, to some that are glamping, as you mentioned. I'm curious about that to try and convince my wife. I'm an Eagle Scout, so I'm used to camping in the outdoors. So is my son. But to do a glamping, describe that once again. Is that probably isn't available at every KOA campground out there, but certainly, in fact, there's one near our area here in Marion, Arkansas. But I'm curious about the glamping, the cabin type feels. Tell me more.
Yeah, well, glamping has actually taken off in the last couple of years. And so we have, as part of our glamping product, we've got deluxe cabins. At certain other campgrounds, we'll have yurts and tree houses and silos and what we consider unique accommodations. So it's not just a one-stop shop of one type of product, but there's lots of different variety, and each one of those unique glamping opportunities is often signature to space and place. So what you're going to have in potentially Tennessee might be very different than what you would find at one of our campgrounds in California. So that's one of the great things about KOA, is that none of them are the same. We're all unique, and we all have different signature opportunities at each campground.
Fantastic, Diane. Finally, if someone wants to maybe kind of look at this as perhaps a summer vacation for the family, where can they go online to do that?
Of course, visit us at KOA.com. And while you're there, I encourage everyone to hop on over to our blog. We've got lots of tips and tricks, tons of recipes, and lots of guides for you to help you get outdoors this summer in a really hassle-free and fun way.
That sounds great. Diane Eichler, we appreciate you coming on the Digital Desk, talking about the enjoyment and popularity of camping all across America. Thanks so very much.
Thank you so much, and happy camping this summer.
Okay, thank you. Happy camping. Trey, it's Andrew Douglas in Memphis. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Just wanted to say hello. We got about 45 seconds before we come to you. You sound great, look great. We're ready to go.
Great, thank you.
Okay, talk to you in a second. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. There was a new study that just came out. It's from Allstate. It's 2025's America's Best Drivers Report, and it lists America's safest and riskiest cities when it comes to driving. Okay, so this is something that was released with Allstate. And it's very surprising, apparently. This is some surprising shifts in driver safety all across the country. Let's bring in someone to talk more about these findings and perhaps what we can do to stay budget practical this summer, money-saving tips, as well as being safe behind the wheel. I'm joined now by Trey Bodge to, first off, break down this study for us. Trey, what did you see in this study? This is definitely piqued my interest. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, it's a very interesting study. It's done every 10 years. And I took a look before we came on air, and Memphis is right in the middle of the pack of all the safest and riskiest cities. So that was interesting to me. And who is leading the pack right now is Texas in general. So Brownsville is the safest city in the country. And the drivers there have an average of 14 years between collisions, which is really impressive. We also have other cities in Texas doing really well. They're in the top 20. We've got Laredo, McAllen, Corpus Christi. So Texas is a great option for a road trip. We saw very big improvements in the Pacific Northwest with Portland, Oregon, and Bellevue, Washington making great strides in safer driving. So that's on the positive side of the study, and I found that to be very interesting.
Wow, okay. So a lot of people here would think that Memphis would be one of those that are on the riskier sides of drivers, but it sounds like it's right in the middle. Can you tell us a little bit about the criteria?
I'm actually not sure what the criteria is. And so all of the cities were evaluated. Something that really did not surprise me actually is that Boston is at the very bottom of the pack. I grew up nearby Boston and got some of my early driving hours in there. And so I'm not surprised to see that. Also DC and Baltimore at the very bottom, and Los Angeles. So if your viewers happen to be having road trips, planning road trips anywhere in these areas, just be extra vigilant, extra patient, so you can stay safe this summer.
Yeah, it's interesting. Something like with Allstate, you would think that it's one of those things where they look at collisions, the amount, how much wear and tear there is on a car. So let's talk a little bit about safety behind the wheel you mentioned, and maybe just ways that we can stay on budget this summer, because so many families are hitting the road.
Absolutely. And road trips are so huge in the summer, especially now as consumers are minding their wallets a little bit more closely. And so a couple things here, safe driving is obviously great for your protection, but it's also good for your wallet. You might not know that insurance companies like Allstate will reward you for having a clean driving record. And so that might mean a lower deductible or a discount for every year that you remain accident free. Something else to consider from an insurance perspective is bundling your insurance. I like this from a personal finance perspective. I'm paying one bill instead of two, but you can also save money that way. And so my family and I are Allstate customers. We like to use the Allstate features because it's a money saver for us. And then also there's a lot of technology that we can take advantage of when we're out there on the roads. Allstate has this amazing feature called DriveWise, which is within their app, and they reward you for good habits like smooth braking, staying off your phone, and you're less likely to have a collision when you're using technology like this.
Okay, Trey Bodge joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, another live look from our High Five as we go to break. It's a beautiful day already, as you can see. 10:07 is the time, 84 degrees on a Monday. Let's talk about your forecast in 1 minute. Terrible.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Monday morning, which is featuring a warm-up for us. But I want to take you to the tropics first, because actually the tropics is part of our forecast, at least in the short term. First off, we'll talk about this area here. This is an area of low pressure that's developing in the northeastern Gulf, working its way across Florida. It has a low chance of development along a stalled out frontal boundary across north central Florida that could have some issues eventually that will impact parts of the upcoming holiday weekend. farther down to the south, a remnant low now of Barry, which was a tropical storm that was coming out of the Bay of Campeche, working its way into Mexico yesterday. But that moisture that's associated with the remnants of Barry have to go somewhere. And of course, you see the moisture in association with that one low that I was just talking about in the northeastern Gulf, and then another batch of moisture that's coming out of the Bay of Campeche, coming right up the eastern shores of seaboard of Mexico. And of course, coming right up into Texas and curling back around, and there's a front that's looming to the north and west. So some of this moisture is coming northward in our direction, of course, helping to facilitate a couple of things here across the Mid-South. Of course, stay up to date with the very latest anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Interactive radar as well as severe weather alerts right there in the palm of your hand. Rain could be part of the story, at least one part of the story as we go through the course of the day. Temperatures getting in the low 90s, a scattering and smattering of showers and thunderstorms developing, and that comes by way again of that approaching front and the increase in moisture that's coming up out of the Gulf. You also tap into a fair amount of heat and humidity combination. Feels like temperatures today up around 105. Heat advisories are in effect for many sections of the area, including Memphis and Shelby County. Of course, a level 1 out of 5 risk in play for severe weather here today. I think the main time frame after about 2-3 o'clock this afternoon that will roll us into the evening hours, and that comes by way of this approaching front. Here's a look at our First Alert Futurecast, starting off with some clouds here this morning. I think we get a decent amount of sunshine still mixing in. A little bit more in the way of cloudiness across our easternmost communities may keep the temperatures a couple of degrees cooler there. Approaching front will kick off scattered showers and thunderstorms as we head through the early evening hours. I think there will be a big pulse in activity, at least for a couple of hours here as we head through the early evening, early overnight period as the front works its way down towards the south. But this isn't the main front. The front's still looming to the north and west of us at this point. At 7 a.m. on Tuesday, still some lingering showers across. I still think that there's some spotty activity that we'll have to tangle with as we head towards your Tuesday before the front actually swings southward and eventually clears the board. And we'll have some fog early on Wednesday morning and drier air filtering in behind that. I think we end up with a pretty beautiful day coming up on Wednesday with temperatures on the rebound back up through the upper 80s and low 90s. And here's your drop in humidity. Again, spiking up between today and tomorrow. And then here's the downward trend that takes us into the middle and latter portion of the week. A couple things that will come along with this as well. As we lose the humidity, we'll heat things up. So actual air temperatures start to go up in a big way. See the ridge of high pressure, the heat dome, it starts to return by the middle and latter portion of the week, of course, anchoring itself across portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas. We're going to be on the eastern flank of it. I think we're still going to be kind of on edge enough, or in a strong enough portion of the ridge where we don't have anything backfilling in. We start to see disturbances coming down the backside of it, but we'll be watching it closely, because that's something that could very well happen as the ridge kind of contracts and expands here in the next couple of days. Of course, high pressure, sinking air compresses, warms up, and that's what you're going to see in your extended forecast is a big warm up. And remember, drier air warms more efficiently. So as we drop the humidity levels, the temperature is going to heat up pretty quickly. So it's not going to be like we drop and nothing happens. I mean, this is going to rebound pretty quickly. So we'll have some scattered showers and storms again this afternoon across the Mid-South. I think that continues into the overnight period, but the rain chance is 60%, 30-40% rain chances going into your Tuesday. Otherwise, variably cloudy skies. I think we're partly cloudy on Wednesday, a high near 90, 92 coming up on Thursday as that ridge starts to build on top of us. That sets us up for all of the events that are happening on July 3rd. I know a lot of people are like, why are things happening on July 3rd? That's just how things are. Liberty for All, one of those things happening over at Liberty Park. City Bartlett's having their fireworks display also on July 3rd. And I think the weather's going to cooperate with you. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures near 90 by 5 o'clock, dropping off to the low 80s by 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, 4th of July itself and the return of the fireworks down at the riverfront. Super excited about that. I think we're in good shape there, too. It's going to be a little hotter, though, on 4th of July, up to 93 by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, not a lot of wind to blow this stuff around. And guess what? As we get underneath that core of the ridge, we stay pretty hot all the way through the upcoming weekend. We add in a couple of extra degrees, 96s, both on Saturday and Sunday. Chances for rain will be pretty slim, but you might catch a quick downpour in 1 or 2 instances. We'll keep the chances for rain at a minimum through early next week, but we start to buckle the ridge and eventually leads up to better chances for showers and storms as we head towards the middle portion of next week.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We are always looking for ways to reduce our stress in our crazy busy lives. Everyone's so busy right now. We have a lot of stress, whether it's work, whether it's home, family life, who knows? We all have it. And practicing mindfulness, well, that's one way to reduce stress. On the Action News 5 Digital Desk, I'm joined right now by Allie Parker. She is a yoga instructor and a studio leader at Lifetime Fitness in Collierville. Allie, so glad you joined us here. So tell me about mindfulness, practicing mindfulness, and how it can help all of us reduce stress in our lives, because we really need to reduce that stress. Good morning.
Good morning. And isn't that an understatement? We are all so busy, so stressed, so much going on in our day-to-day lives that it's important to practice mindfulness. And mindfulness for some people immediately calls to mind this picture of meditation, and you just sort of picture like a yogi in a silent room on a cushion, canceling all their thoughts. But mindfulness is something that we can practice every day. It's as simple as being aware of the present moment, noticing your thoughts without judgment, and just carving out time in your day to be in whatever moment that you're in right then and there.
Okay, I love it. So for our audience, we have thousands of people who watch each and every morning, Allie. Let's talk about ways that people can just do this wherever they are, whether they're at work, at home, maybe waiting in the doctor's office, what have you.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite things is to pick up something that you do every day. Brushing your teeth, waiting in the school pickup line, something that you're going to do on a recurring basis, and let that be your reminder to practice mindfulness. And mindfulness is as simple as stopping, taking a breath, observing, noticing what's going on, and then proceeding, moving forward with more awareness of the present moment. So one of my favorite things to do is just when I'm sitting at my desk at work is take a moment, kind of drop what I'm doing, notice how my feet feel in my shoes, notice the temperature of the air on my skin, take a moment and take a few deep breaths. Notice how my breath feels traveling in through my nose and how it feels leaving my body. And then just doing a full body scan and noticing what changed after practicing a few moments of mindfulness and awareness.
I like that. It seems pretty simple. And tell me about how doing that for a few minutes each and every day, how that can reduce stress.
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. There are so many studies out there and more coming out each and every day that talk about how mindfulness can actually rewire our brains. So there's a study from the National Institute of Health that shows that practicing mindfulness and meditation can actually help with the areas of our mind that are responsible for processing emotions and retaining memory. So there are some really proven benefits to taking this time, carving it out in your day. It's also been noted in various studies that practicing mindfulness for as few as 5 minutes a day can help reduce perceived stress by 40%, which is a pretty staggering statistic. I would take a 40% reduction in stress any day. So definitely super simple to take 5 minutes of your day. And fortunately, there are so many resources nowadays to practice, especially with May being Mental Health Awareness Month. There are so many platforms that are offering ways to practice meditation, one of which is the Lifetime digital app. It's free to members and non-members. I just did mine this morning. I love to do it when I'm waiting for school pickup line. It's a great one to just plug in during your day. And like I said, it's just 5 minutes. Some of them are moving meditations where we're getting you moving with your breath. Some are more still where you can practice them seated in a waiting room, like you mentioned, and you're just noticing your breath work and tapping into your physical body. So lots of different variations that you can take. Also, some of my favorites are walking meditations. I know the weather's finally getting nice enough to get back outside and walk. So put on a walking meditation from the Lifetime digital app next time you go and let me know how it goes.
I love everything that you're saying. It sounds fantastic. It sounds great. What about meditation? A lot of people might be intimidated to try it. They think, oh, well, I can't sit still for more than a minute without like thinking about everything, and my mind freaks out and it's going a million miles an hour. How do we get to the point where we can practice meditation, Allie?
Yeah, and honestly, the people who are having a mile a minute thoughts or feel like I'm not a good candidate for meditation because I can't sit still, you're the perfect candidate for meditation. So meditation is a practice of noticing. I always tell my students, it's not the absence of thought, It's noticing the thought. So a great analogy that I had a teacher once explain to me is imagine sitting sort of behind a waterfall and let your thoughts just be the water that falls right in front of you. So you're noticing them, you're seeing them, but you're not attaching yourselves to them. Or if you are, you just sort of label it like, okay, I just thought about my grocery list. Let's bring it back to where I am right now. And one of the easiest ways to bring yourself back to the present moment is taking a deep, slow, intentional breath and just saying to yourself, inhale, exhale. And repeating that a few times. And again, it's so natural for all of us when we're practicing meditation, even those of us who practice daily, to have moments where our mind wanders. It's important to give ourselves grace and practice without judgment so that we can call ourselves back to the present moment and say, okay, I went and thought about what I have to do later today. Let me call myself back to where I am right now with my breath. Inhale through my nose, exhale slowly through my mouth, something like that. We can bring you right back. And it's easy to just take a moment, label the thought, and move forward.
I love the waterfall. That allegory, it sounds great. I mean, it's a great analogy, and I'm going to try that after we're done here.
Amazing. Love it.
Yes, absolutely. Final thoughts. I mean, is there a place where people can go online and maybe kind of learn more about this, practicing meditation, mindfulness, reducing stress through these kind of different techniques?
Absolutely. As I previously mentioned, the Lifetime digital app is totally free to members and non-members. So if you're not a member of Lifetime, don't feel like you still can't download that app from the App Store, log in. And then within there, we have a challenge going on during May. It's to practice meditation every day, and it's literally just 5 minutes. So once you log into the app, one of the first things that you'll see is that practice for mindfulness. I would encourage you guys to drill into that, check it out. And beyond May, this will be available, again, free to members and non-members for you to check it out. They've got various different types and lengths of meditation. So once you get more comfortable with 5 minutes, you might bump up to 10 minutes on a day that you have a little bit more time and see how your mind reacts to a little bit more space and intentionality in those times. We also have classes here during the month of May at Lifetime. So if you're interested in trying out a class, all of our instructors are incorporating 5 minutes of mindfulness at the end of class. So if you want to just kind of get your toes wet, see what it's about, see like, can I really do it? A great way to practice is, first of all, to get out of your mind and into your body by doing some physical exercise, coming to a class, and then we'll wrap up the class with 5 minutes of intentional meditation or mindfulness. And I think that you'll find it's a lot less daunting than you think it is.
Allie Parker, Lifetime Fitness yoga studio leader in Collierville. Thank you so much. This was excellent. Lots of information, chock full there. We appreciate your time on the Digital Desk. Thank you. All right, we're going to switch gears here and talk a little bit about the state of Arkansas. You know, more and more people are realizing, I certainly realize this here in Memphis in the Mid-South, that where you live affects how you live. You know, you could be living in the most beautiful place in the world, but if you don't feel good about it and you don't really kind of mesh with where you are, it's not going to feel good. It's not going to be the most beautiful place in the world. But if you embrace it and you enjoy it, no matter where you are, you're going to enjoy where you live. And it feels like mind over matter a little bit. On the Action News 5 Digital Desk, I am joined now, happy to be joined by actress Dawn Olivieri. And anyone who has watched Yellowstone, she is no stranger to you, but she has a great little story here because she relocated from California to Arkansas. She found not only a slower pace, but a stronger purpose. So, Dawn, good morning to you. Tell me more about your move and how you are reflecting on that move this morning.
Well, good morning to you. Thank you for having me. I love that you say slower pace. I brought all the action with me. I thought I did come for for nature, right? That's what I showed up in seeking of, but I brought the whole world with me. And Arkansas does something for the soul out here. And I came to be as close to as much wildness as I could stomach. And what it ended up doing for me was it created Moon Mountain Sanctuary and Rescue, which is my wild Mustang rescue here in Arkansas. But on a soul level, I was able to put the mirror down, right? In LA, I call it the land of mirrors. But when you come out here and you're in direct conversation with the natural world, there's no place for the mirror. It becomes cumbersome, and it's a false sense of who you are. So you start meeting people from the inside, and it actually also affected my acting, which I think was a really interesting side effect. It made me a stronger actress because I was no longer living on the surface of things. I'm going to assume you're still there. So maybe we just can't hear you right now.
Can you not hear me, Dawn?
Oh, now. Yeah, well,
You can hear me now?
talking. I don't mind. I was trying to give you
No.
some space. Yeah.
So what I was saying was, like, there's no question that nature has a healing effect. Whether you're out in nature for a minute, a weekend, what have you, it heals all of us. And so it's so great to hear your story. Tell me where you live in Arkansas and what that healing process has been like for you.
Well, the Moon Mountain is situated in Mena, Arkansas. It's about as far out as you can get in Arkansas. It's sort of 3 hours from any major airport, which creates a very pristine environment out here, very conducive to bringing 100 wild horses to your house. But we live on the edge of a national forest, and that was one of my prerequisites. Was I wanted land on a national forest. And what's very unique about Mena is it is almost a peninsula surrounded by national forests. And that's a very unique organization of a city is what I thought. And what I know to be true with how that works is that you end up attracting a lot of outdoor enthusiasts. And little did I know, Arkansas had a lot going on in that department. You could even argue it's up there for the recreational capital of the world, just by nature of how it is constructed here. You have hiking, you have mountain biking, tubing, kayaking, horseback riding, side-by-side off-roading. I mean, the list just continues. And I couldn't believe I didn't know anything about Arkansas before. It was never on my map of places to visit. And when I moved here, I thought, well, this is a story that needs to be told. So I take initiative a lot of times. If you don't know much about me, that's definitely something I got in spades. And I said, I went to Arkansas, and I said, can I tell your story from my perspective? Because that's as authentic as I could get. And I made a docuseries, and I call it My Natural State, because the slogan is the natural state for Arkansas. So I wanted to show the beauty of Arkansas, but at the same time show the spiritual journey of a person learning to connect with a deeper level of themselves through that travel, through the natural wonders of Arkansas. And that's what I did, and that's what this story is about.
Well, fantastic, Dawn. I love hearing it. We are in Memphis, so we're right there on the border of Arkansas. Been to the Ozarks plenty of times. It's gorgeous. And certainly some other areas, Mountain Home, Mountain Brook. It's just a gorgeous state. There's no question about it. Anything else you want to share with our audience? We actually broadcast into parts of Arkansas, North Mississippi, and West Tennessee.
Well, I think there's a lot of people out there that have this in their heart, that they're trying to be in a big city so they can make enough money to move and have the life they want, get a few acres and have animals and have their little homestead. My advice is to just go now. Don't let fear keep you stuck. because I did it. I didn't have the partner that I thought I would have. I didn't have the money that I thought I would have, but I still did it. And the thing is when you choose what's coming from your heart, what it's saying to you, it all comes with you. It's like the reward for listening to that little voice. And if you're still not sure, Arkansas has this great website. It's arkansas.com/relocation. And you can actually they have this relocation calculator, and you can calculate your cost of living comparison from where you live currently to where you could move in Arkansas. And if that doesn't seal the deal, then go and look at all the pictures of Arkansas, or come to my Instagram, Dawn Olivieri. If you don't know how to spell my name, just type in Yellowstone into a Google search. It'll pop up. And come and see what we're doing here at Moon Mountain Sanctuary and Rescue and all the horses that we're helping. Come volunteer, and then we can kind of guide you to the thousands of waterfalls you can visit, where you can go find a diamond, and then you can just fund your entire move. It's like, it's that easy. Or you could just go tubing and contemplate your existence. Arkansas literally has it all.
Before we let you go, anything that you want to share with some Yellowstone fans out there? I know that we have plenty of them. What was the most satisfying aspect of being a part of this series?
Well, Wes Bentley is actually from Arkansas. Isn't that funny? He was born in Arkansas. So we had a lot of Arkansas conversations to talk together in between, conniving and our takedown of the Yellowstone dynasty. But what a great show. What an anomaly. What an incredible beacon for people. I think even that show did some of this, right? It's like when you watch that world, you want that world for yourself. People started wearing cowboy hats and cowboy boots. Now they're like, maybe we want a horse, right? Good. Come and get one from Moon Mountain, and then I'll teach you how to be a real cowboy. I dare you.
All right, Dawn Olivieri on the Digital Desk. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And enjoy yourself
Absolutely.
in nature.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Monday morning, which is featuring a warm-up for us. But I want to take you to the tropics first, because actually the tropics is part of our forecast, at least in the short term. First off, we'll talk about this area here. This is an area of low pressure that's developing in the northeastern Gulf, working its way across Florida. It has a low chance of development along a stalled out frontal boundary across north central Florida that could have some issues eventually that will impact parts of the upcoming holiday weekend. Farther down to the south, a remnant low now of Barry, which was a tropical storm that was coming out of the Bay of Campeche, working its way into Mexico yesterday. But that moisture that's associated with the remnants of Barry have to go somewhere. And of course, you see the moisture in association with that one low that I was just talking about in northeastern Gulf, and then another batch of moisture that's coming out of the Bay of Campeche, coming right up the eastern shores of seaboard of Mexico. And of course, coming right up into Texas and curling back around, and there's a front that's looming to the north and west. So some of this moisture is coming northward in our direction, of course, helping to facilitate a couple of things here across the Mid-South. Of course, stay up to date with the very latest anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Interactive radar as well. well as severe weather alerts right there in the palm of your hand. Rain could be part of the story, at least one part of the story as we go through the course of the day. Temperatures getting in the low 90s, a scattering and smattering of showers and thunderstorms developing, and that comes by way again of that approaching front and the increase in moisture that's coming up out of the Gulf. You also tap into a fair amount of heat and humidity combination. Feels like temperatures today up around 105. Heat advisories are in effect for many sections of the area, including Memphis and Shelby County. Of course, a level 1 out of 5 risk in play for severe weather here today. I think the main time frame after about 2-3 o'clock this afternoon that will roll us into the evening hours, and that comes by way of this approaching front. Here's a look at our first alert futurecast, starting off with some clouds here this morning. I think we get a decent amount of sunshine still mixing in. A little bit more in the way of cloudiness across our easternmost communities may keep the temperatures a couple degrees cooler there. Approaching front will kick off scattered showers and thunderstorms as we head through the early evening hours. I think there will be a big pulse in activity, at least for a couple of hours here as we head through the early evening, early overnight period as the front works its way down towards the south. But this isn't the main front. The front's still looming to the north and west of us at this point. At 7 a.m. on Tuesday, still some lingering showers across. I still think that there's some spotty activity that we'll have to tangle with as we head towards your Tuesday before the front actually swings southward and eventually clears the board. And we'll have some fog early on Wednesday morning and drier air filtering in behind that. I think we end up with a pretty beautiful day coming up on Wednesday with temperatures on the rebound back up through the upper 80s and low 90s. And here's your drop in humidity. Again, spiking up between today and tomorrow. And then here's the downward trend that takes us into the middle and latter portion of the week. A couple things that will come along with this as well. As we lose the humidity, we'll heat things up. So actual air temperatures start to go up in a big way. See the ridge of high pressure, the heat dome, it starts to return by the middle and latter portion of the week, of course, anchoring itself across portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas. We're going to be on the eastern flank of it. I think we're still going to be kind of on edge enough or in a strong enough portion of the ridge where we don't have anything backfilling in. We start to see disturbances coming down the backside of it, but we'll be watching it closely, because that's something that could very well happen as the ridge kind of contracts and expands here in the next couple of days. Of course, high pressure sinking air compresses, warms up, and that's what you're going to see in your extended forecast is a big warm up. And remember, drier air warms more efficiently. So as we drop the humidity levels, the temperature is going to heat up pretty quickly. So it's not going to be like we drop and nothing happens. I mean, this is going to rebound pretty quickly. So we'll have some scattered showers and storms again this afternoon across the Mid-South. I think that continues into the overnight period, but the rain chance is 60%, 30-40% rain chances going into your Tuesday. Otherwise, variably cloudy skies. I think we're partly cloudy on Wednesday, a high near 90, 92 coming up on Thursday as that ridge starts to build on top of us. That sets us up for all of the events that are happening on July 3rd. I know a lot of people are like, why are things happening on July 3rd? That's just how things are. Liberty for All, one of those things happening over at Liberty Park. City Bartlett's having their fireworks display also on July 3rd. And I think the weather's going to cooperate with you. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures near 90 by 5 o'clock, dropping off to the low 80s by 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, 4th of July itself and the return of the fireworks down at the riverfront. Super excited about that. I think we're in good shape there, too. It's going to be a little hotter, though, on 4th of July, up to 93 by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, not a lot of wind to blow this stuff around. And guess what? As we get underneath that core of the ridge, we stay pretty hot all the way through the upcoming weekend. We add in a couple of extra degrees, 96s, both on Saturday and Sunday. Chances for rain will be pretty slim, but you might catch a quick downpour in 1 or 2 instances. We'll keep the chances for rain at a minimum through early next week, but we start to buckle the ridge and eventually leads up to better chances for showers and storms as we head towards the middle portion of next week.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We are always trying to have optimal health, especially this summer where we're trying to get in shape. We're trying to be optimally healthy, both mentally, physically, nutrition-wise. And one of the things that we all have to keep in mind is that your oral health, your mouth health has to be optimal as well if you want to lead a healthy life. And joining me right now on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, Dr. Kevin Reed, a family dentist, to talk a little bit more about the importance of oral health. And Kevin, good morning to you. Let's talk a little bit about why the health of your mouth is so important to your overall health. Good morning.
Yes, Andrew, thank you. Listen, we all know about how important it is to have our teeth, right? We love our smiles. But what they've come up with in the last 10 to 15 years is the link between your teeth, your gums, and the blood supply that's going to your oral cavities and the rest of your body. And what we know, what they've proven, is that periodontal disease, which is over 70% of America after, of the world really, after 40 has periodontal disease. We know periodontal disease is a causal agent, a causal factor of some pretty serious systemic problems, such as heart disease, diabetes, stroke, the potential for strokes, Alzheimer's even, and preterm labor. That's just to name a few.
Yeah, there's no question that that kind of situation where you do not take care of your mouth and your body overall suffers. There's no question about it. So let's talk about some fundamental ways, Kevin, because we have thousands of people who watch us each and every morning on the digital desk. I know that your family practice has been in business now for 75 years. So where can people start to really kind of take care of their health orally when it comes to not only seeing a dentist, of course, but in between those dentist visits?
Well, so we don't just blow by that, though. Obviously, quote, seeing the dentist, but coming to a dentist where you get a comprehensive exam, where they are checking the amount of bleeding in your mouth. They're checking for your cavities. That is, and you're getting professional help from the hygienist and the dentist. That is like the number one step. And then they're going to help you tailor your home care, which is going to be brushing. Nowadays, there's some excellent electric brushes. Oral-B makes one, Sonicare makes one. They're fantastic. In addition to the manual brushing, which is when you brush your teeth, what we want you to know is think that you're brushing your gums. If you brush your gums, your teeth will get cleaned. And that is the most important factor in your mouth is the gums, the periodontal, which is gums. And then, of course, obviously people know about flossing. The electric brushes help with that for those that slack a little bit on flossing, but we recommend flossing. And the third adjunct that we recommend is a water pick. And then the amount of times that you come back to the dentist is really important, and that would be your maintenance care. Some people it's 3 months, some people it's 4 months. A healthy periodontal situation would be 6 months.
Let's talk about certain foods that you see in your practice that get people in trouble when it comes to their mouth, the oral care, that sort of thing.
Well, here is a very simple rule that we preach every day in our practice and have for 30 years. They've done studies about the amount of sugar that is retained in your saliva. And so let's be clear about one essential rule, and that is cavities can only start by sugar. So every time I have something with sugar, a lot of times it's liquid. It could be my coffee. It could be the morning Coke. That's not a problem if you have it in 30 minutes. The problem is every time you sip a drink that has sugar or eat a food that has sugar or a food that is a carbohydrate that can turn to sugar, every time you do that, your saliva retains enough sugar for 30 minutes to cause decay. So then when you put on top of that whatever your genetic makeup is, if you happen to have hard teeth, that may not be as big a factor. But if you've got softer teeth, that's a huge factor. So sugar is the number one element. We call it the 30-minute rule. Just remember, every time you have sugar in any form, it's a 30-minute rule. It's going to be in there for 30 minutes. So if you do that all day, you're bathing your teeth. And that is really the number one thing, is sugar. Now, I tell our patients, don't worry about your meals. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, have sugar. It's not a problem. Because what do we know? Even if you don't brush, now if you went and brushed, it would be gone, right? But if you don't brush right after the meal, we know it's going to be gone in 30 minutes. So the number one way to take care of your teeth is regular visits, but eliminate sugar between meals. You can use fake sugar. I'm not going to speak to whether or not fake sugar causes other problems. That's beyond my expertise. But fake sugar does not cause decay.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. Sugar causing cavities, that's huge, Kevin. Thank you. What about oral cancer, and how prevalent is it? Ways to prevent it, that sort of thing.
Again, we go back to the same theme. That is one of the most important things we're going to do in your checkups. Your initial checkup, your follow-up maintenance checkups. We're going to be checking, and the best way to check for oral cancer is visually. And we do palpate, and we look at the tongue and different areas that you can't see. But visually is the number one way. There are other devices out there that can shine a light, that can show areas of concern. Certainly, if we see an area of concern, we send you to an oral surgeon, and they do biopsies. You want to eliminate things that potentially cause cancer. And let's talk about such as smokeless tobacco, such as regular smoking, cigars, cigarettes, that sort of thing. Let's go to the prevalence of oral cancer. It is on the rise. It has become a very significant health risk. I've been doing this 43 years. I know. I only look like I've been doing it 35, but I've been doing this 43 years, and the amount of cancer that we saw 40 years ago was nothing compared to the amount that we see now and send into people. Roughly 60,000 new cases in the United States occur every year. That's a lot. So oral cancer, big, big concern.
Where do people make the biggest mistakes, Kevin?
You know, I think it gets back to regular care. I think the biggest mistakes are the perception that if I, as an individual, look in my mouth and I don't see anything and I don't feel anything, that everything must be okay. Unfortunately, by the time we see or feel, it's probably gotten to a point that now we're in more serious problems such as root canals, crowns, or extractions. So I think they get in the mistake of not doing the daily maintenance and not doing the however much you need to do during the year, 1, 2, 3, or 4 visits with a dentist. I think that's the biggest mistakes, and too much sugar. People don't understand about sugar. You know, again, I go back to that. People would say, well, Doc, I only have 1 Coke a day. I go, that's fine. How long does it take you to drink your Coke? Well, I keep it on my desk and I have it all day long. So it's not quantity, it's frequency. And so I think sugar, I think lack of daily care, I think lack of regular maintenance visits with your dentist. That's the 3 big areas.
That's great. I appreciate that. 3 big bullet points right there. Anything else before we let you go, Kevin? This has been very informative for our viewers.
Well, I would just encourage you to find a dentist, Google them. We've got a fun documentary you can see about our practice, but there's 8,000 dentists in Shelby County, and they're great. And so find a dentist, find a dental home that fits you. Maybe it fits your insurance, whatever it needs to be for you to be able to use that plan. And let's go there. Let's let them guide you in your personal home care. And I think that's where you go. I think that's what you do.
All right. I appreciate it. Dr. Kevin Reed with Reed.
One more thing.
Dentistry.
One more thing, Andrew.
Okay.
I did forget. And I don't know where I stand on this, but I want to bring it up. One of the things that's in the news right now is taking out fluoride from the water. And I didn't mention fluoride. I should be a dentist. I should say absolutely don't do that. What I'm going to tell you is after 18 to 20 years of age, fluoride in the water does nothing for your teeth. It does nothing for mature enamel. It's for children, okay? So there could be some argument. Maybe there's some scientific evidence that we didn't used to have, and maybe there's some reason why that could sometimes happen in communities. But what is there, and what we've been using for 20 years, is we put fluoride on your teeth now, even as adults, and it's 22,000 parts per million, and it actually incorporates and strengthens the enamel. We didn't used to have that until about 15 or 20 years ago. So we do treat adult teeth with fluoride, and that's very important for hardening the teeth. In the water, great, very important for children. In the toothpaste, it's really insignificant. 80 to 100 parts per million does nothing really in the toothpaste. So that's important, fluoride.
Okay, all right. Well, you got that in there, Dr. Kevin Reed. We appreciate your time. Thanks
you.
for explaining how important oral care is to our overall health, where people make mistakes, what people can do, just simple, easy steps to live a optimal, healthy life. We appreciate your time on the Digital Desk. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Certainly a great conversation there with Kevin Reed there. Been in business now for over 40 years. Certainly a wealth of knowledge there. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We always love celebrating Memphians that are doing amazing things everywhere and on the national stage, on a regional stage, international stage, what have you. And joining me on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, I am joined by Dr. Martin McCain. He is a faculty member from the Rudy E. Scheidt School of Music at the University of Memphis. Go Tigers go, by the way. And he is a trombonist on the Disney soundtrack for the Lilo and Stitch remake that's out in theaters right now. Martin, great to meet you. So first off, tell me a little bit about yourself. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm a musician. As you said, I teach at the University of Memphis. I grew up in Memphis in Whitehaven. And outside of teaching college students, I'm a member of the Count Basie Orchestra. If you go to the musicals at the Orpheum, the trombonist of the Orpheum Theater. And so I get to perform in a lot of different genres and get to teach wonderful next generation of musicians.
So tell me about getting this opportunity. How does it come about where, you have this remake, it's a big movie, it was a big TV show back in the day. It is now in theaters, and you're a trombonist, you're on the soundtrack. How does that all happen?
Well, it's a funny thing. Like when you're a recording artist and you're a studio musician, sometimes you show up to the recording studio and you have no idea who you're recording for. And that was the same situation here with Royal Studio. We were told that Bruno Mars was going to have a part of this project, but we had no idea it was for a Disney film. And so we went into the studio, we recorded Burning Love, and really did not know what it was going to come of. And then I didn't find out until a month later when I received the check. I just did a little bit of research and I saw that this was going to be a part of the new Disney movie. So that's an interesting story how I found out.
That's fantastic, and I'm sure it was nice to see the check and everything associated with that. So so tell me, if people go and see this movie in the theaters, are they going to be able to know which song? And you're a trombonist, so how are they going to be able to pick you out, or at least the song that you're a part of? How about that?
Yeah, so one great thing that this movie is doing, from even the original that came out in 2002, there's a lot of Elvis music in this movie, which is very iconic with Memphis. But the one track that we recorded at Royal Studio is Burning Love, which is towards the end of the movie. And so, yeah, this is a really nice one because actually Bruno Mars' nephews are singing this, and then we are the horn section in the background.
Fantastic. That is awesome. So, so tell me about people's reaction, family members, friends, to you being on this soundtrack and Burning Love, as you mentioned. Elvis Presley, here we go.
Absolutely. Well, especially in my family, a lot of my family members are huge Disney fans, and my sister goes to Disney World at least 3 times a year. So everybody was extremely excited. I've been on a few different soundtracks before, but never Disney. So that's definitely a special thing for me.
I would think so. So tell me what you do at the University of Memphis. Are you a professor? What do you teach?
Yeah, so I'm the trombone professor. So I teach students from freshmen all the way to doctoral students and students who want to be performers or future band directors, educators. And so it's fantastic. I get to work with around 20 trombone students each week. And yeah, we have a really beautiful thing going on at the Scheidt School of Music, especially in our brand new Performing Arts Center.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, a great situation all around. Anything else you want to share with our audience? We have thousands of people that watch each and every morning here on the Digital Desk. And not only are they love to celebrate University of Memphis, Memphis Tigers, and a Memphian doing extraordinary things on an international level. Anything else we can talk about, Martin?
Well, I would just say, please go see the movie. I just read last night that the movie is still #1 on the charts, and it's been out for 2 weeks now. So that's amazing, with all the great movies that usually come out during the summer season. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely check out the movie.
Yeah, and this is a remake of the kids program back in the late '90s. Is it?
The first Lilo and Stitch came out in 2002, and then there was a sequel, and then it became a TV series as well.
Gotcha. Okay, all right. Appreciate you setting me that straight. Well, listen, Dr. Martin McCain joining us on the Digital Desk on the soundtrack for the Disney movie Lilo and Stitch, the remake, Burning Love. At the very end, there you will hear him and his trombonist, and his trombone rather. Fantastic stuff. Congratulations once again, and thanks for all the hard work you do at the University of Memphis to inspire other students to do the same. We appreciate your time.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers, go. Absolutely. Okay, that does it for us here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon. We have Action News 5 Midday coming up at the top of the hour. We got Ariana Poindexter, Jerry Askin taking you through the top stories and headlines for the next hour. And then join us once again bright and early tomorrow morning, another edition of the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We go from 7 until 11 every weekday morning. You can find us on actionnews5.com, our free news app, our digital platforms like Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and Roku. And you can also just watch us on television, digital channel 5.3. That is the Action News 5 Plus channel. You can also find us on channel 907 on Xfinity. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon. I'm going to leave you right now with a beautiful shot from our High 5 camera in downtown Memphis.